Reveille.
Look at us now, tip to tip.
Ooh, Jesus.
Start to Morning Kombat.
Do you want a margarita? Yes! My God!
Come to us, doing what we love. It's time to bang. Oh, yeah, your Wednesday morning just got a lot better. Welcome on into Morning Kombat Pre-Game Preview for UFC 315. Get fired up. How are you on this Wednesday, May 7th, 2025? Brian Campbell, Luke Thomas, the MK co-hostess with the mostess, but we needed a third today. So we went to the bullpen.
Time for the threesome.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. The grandson of a bootlegger. It is from Uncrowned with Love, Sir Charles Mindenhall.
I like thruple. I like that better.
Wow.
Get the fuck out of here, you sick man.
All right.
Wow, I've already made you call me sick. This is going to be a fun show.
Just a reminder for everybody, today's episode of Morning Kombat, this very special episode to get you fired up for Saturday's pay-per-view return to Montreal, is presented by DraftKings. And, of course, with DraftKings, the crown is yours. Luke Thomas, I don't know if you want to read the disclaimer this time around, maybe bring Chuck back into the folds, you know,
What?
if you will, about what we expect from him this episode. You know what I mean? This ain't like the other shows you do.
He's teeing
know?
you up.
This ain't like, you know.
You ever like go out on your day and just like, I got to do dumb shit today. That's what this day is about.
Yeah,
I can do that.
Can you rise to the occasion?
I can.
This ain't your dad's. Well, it probably is your dad's favorite show, actually, because we're just a bunch of old
At
POS.
this point, it is, yeah.
But this ain't your dad's regular UFC preview. We expect real talk.
All right.
Like men.
Do you have any planted questions about the Ali Act from Turkey to inject into this broadcast?
Yes, before we get
here we
into
go.
all things Montreal,
Yeah.
or I'm sorry, Montreal, as
No,
the
you had it,
real people
Montreal.
pronounce it.
I think it's Montreal.
Chuck, you were one of the invited special guests / influencers / billionaires / ass lickers. Yeah. All right. Sorry. Got loose there for a second. No, you were seriously Times Square. You were ringside for HE's big splash on Manhattan. What you were actually within the giant fences.
Yeah,
what the hell was that
envious?
like?
Were you envious of that?
Envious? No, you were trapped in there,
That's what I'm
motherfucker.
saying,
I
man.
could turn my broadcast off and leave.
I couldn't get out of there if I wanted to. It
Well,
was,
they had your search her search history stretched out. Like they knew what was going on.
It was bad news, man. I mean, the fight you saw the fights, and
Oh,
really
yeah.
that's what it came down to for me. All the rest of it was just kind of nonsense. I don't know how I got in to the actual perimeter because
Were there
there's-
other writers there?
as far as I know, other journalists and writers were in a restaurant.
Yeah, Hard Rock.
Yeah, the
They had
Hard
them in
Rock.
Hard Rock.
Yeah.
I was supposed to be, from
Bro.
what I understood, at the Bubba Gump Shrimp, but that's
I
not where I
think
ended
you and
up.
Hard Hit and Helwans were the only journalists
Yeah.
allowed within
Brother,
those
if I got a
walls.
credential and it's like, you can set up shop in the Hard Rock, I'm like, you can set up shop on these
I know.
fucking nutsack right here.
Hey,
I mean,
yeah.
whoa,
this is...
hey,
yeah.
sir. All right, that is
Yeah. I
there
wasn't
you
too
go.
far from Iron Mike, Pat McAfee, all those guys. All your favorites were right there, man.
Yeah,
was
wow,
fun.
That's incredible. Pat McAfee,
I sat,
man. He
I
used to
sat
be
next
a
to
rebel,
Mike Tyson when Rico Verhoeven fought in Glory in Norfolk, Virginia. He talked to
Wow.
me the whole time.
Right?
Wow.
Shit.
Yeah.
Does he really have that voice? Like,
Yes. In
okay.
fact,
All right.
what happened was Rico was winning, and we were facing one of the ring posts like this. So it was right at the corner, and he push kicked the guy, so he hit the turnbuckle, and it shook the whole ring. And Mike actually nudged me with his arm to like get my attention, and I looked over, and he goes, "These motherfuckers is huge."
In his old Italian accent. It was perfect. Well,
It's a little
delivered
New York
right
in it,
there.
but I couldn't quite get it
There
right.
you go. Chuck, I do encourage our readers to check you out on Uncrowned. And among a bevy of fantastic pieces, the one you had on
Thank you, man.
Ryan's ball dropping in,
Yes. He
in
dropped the
Times
ball.
Square. Yes,
Should I read
yes.
that famous quote from him?
Oh my
No,
God.
no, we should. This show will not be about Ryan Garcia, but what this show will be about, guys, is obviously the pay-per-view that goes down Saturday, UFC 315 in Montreal. 2 title fights atop the fold, and the first title defense of that name that you should remember, Belal Muhammad. And by the way, this pregame preview, get fired up, is brought to you by Cuervo. Now's a good time to enjoy the tequila that invented tequila. And when we say now, Luke Thomas, I mean, it's 11 a.m. Eastern somewhere, okay?
Yeah, New York City.
How about right
Yeah.
here, right now?
Yeah, yes.
There is no other place I'd rather be.
Right, yeah,
Right? Jesus Jones.
now.
Chuck, we are going to be
That was
sampling
so
today.
Brian-like. You're jumping in with the song.
The Blanco. The Blanco today. Okay?
All right.
So let's get it. Luke, are
I
you
love
going
the
to
Blanco.
go?
I'm gonna have it. I have a mixer here. I'm gonna put some of that and have my margarita.
You know, people often say, like, BC, do you guys actually enjoy Cuervo
We do.
for this? You
Yeah.
know what I
Hell
mean?
yeah.
Do I? Do I? Unlike Luke Thomas, I'm Cuervo no chaser on this bitch, okay? That's what I'm talking
You're
about.
also,
all right?
I mean, Mike Myers in fucking whatever movie that was,
What are you trying to say?
where he
Halloween.
had all the Pepsi and then the Pizza Hut ads everywhere. It's not So I Married an Axe
Don't
Murderer.
go
Which
light.
one
What
is
is
it?
Oh,
Wayne's
you-
World. It was
yeah,
Wayne's
A little
World.
bit more.
Oh, look at this.
Wow. I mean, Chuck, what the fuck are we doing?
Well, I mean,
You don't
I
get
wanna
to, you
admit-
don't
hey,
get
the
to
first
bully
one.
me about how you're drinking if you're pouring half shots.
He always
Just,
gives
I got
himself a-
terrible news for
Oh
you.
no, that's a full shot.
That's
right
not
there.
a full shot.
These are double. These are double shots.
These are not doubles.
You're gonna
They are
have
doubles.
to. You're gonna have
This
to
is not a
seed the
double.
bottle.
This
to
is a
Luke.
single shot.
This
You're
is-
out of your mind.
This is.
I have a double shot glass at home. It's much
All right,
bigger than
if
this.
you're,
It has
you're,
has moose antlers on it. Like
No, I got
if
it.
you
I got
want,
it in,
hey frat
South
boy,
America.
if you want to gatekeep, I'll play those games. All right.
All right, yeah.
Okay.
Let's see it.
You-
I mean,
you-
you talk a gang of shit and then you don't do
You
it.
know, this was a guy,
That's a
Chuck,
shot.
who
That's
said
a
it would
shot.
take 52 beers to get him lit.
This guy?
It only took 3 margaritas, though, right, to make
it's
him
a
a
new-
legend.
it's a new
That
era of
is
sadness in my
yes.
life. What
I
can
was
I
there
tell
that day.
You were
in
oh, yeah,
Vegas.
dude, I completely
yeah.
forgot
Yeah,
you were there.
I was
Mike
there.
Bond was there that day. You
Yeah,
remember
I
that?
went on
Yeah.
with Mike Bond. It was like we came on
I
together
mean,
with you
I
guys.
apologize to you guys after on behalf of Luke. You know what I mean? But it wasn't. It was
It was a legendary moment.
an
Come on
epic
now.
moment. Luke, I'll slide that over here. Luke, we have so much respect for you, your family, your family's nations that we would love if you could bless us Colombian style.
All right, here we go. Pa arriba, pa abajo, al centro, click, click, click.
Incorporated. Yeah.
Adentro.
We're gonna do it.
Al dentro.
Very nice.
Oh, that's smooth.
Should have done it your way. I mean,
The
this is
mixer,
way to go.
buddy.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
come on now, son.
That's delicious, though. That is good.
Wow.
Wow, we got after it right there.
Yeah.
Just the first. Shout out, by the way, to Cuervo. That's what we're talking about. Let's get fired up about 315. Big picture. For all the talk we do about matchmaking, quality of cards. Chuck, what is 315? Can we get a letter grade? Is it deep? What would you say 315 brings to the table for us as MMA fans?
A letter grade. I would probably go a B minus. You know, I think it's pretty good with the 2 top fights. I, for one, really love the women's fight in this one because I think that Manon Fiorot is going to do work in this fight. I like after that Blanchfield fight that she had in Atlantic City, I look forward to seeing what happens with Shevchenko. So that's one of those fights that I've been looking forward to. And I mean, honestly, man, I like Belal's fights. I know he doesn't get a ton of like credit for excitement and things
Dude,
like that.
Try interview. I'm sure you've seen this.
Oh,
if you interview him and tweet
He's-
him out,
he's
you'll find
spicy.
out how much people hate this guy.
Right.
It's like, holy crap.
Yeah, but he's
100%.
spicy. He leans into it now, right?
I like the way he's
Bilal's
playing it.
he's not a wallflower. Like
No.
he
True.
now
That is true.
He'll absolutely lean into it. So.
for sure.
So yeah, I mean, so I'm looking forward to those fights. You know,
but
and
I
then-
didn't
and-
get a grade from you.
B
at
minus.
Dennis.
B minus.
B minus.
Can I
Okay,
can I
that's fair.
counteract that a little bit?
Yes,
love
please,
it.
please do.
I can't. A is crazy. I'm not going to do that, but I might go B plus.
Okay.
Okay.
I might go B plus, and I'll tell you why.
Some optimism this time. I
yeah,
like it.
you know
yeah.
what? Because
It's a Cuervo.
okay,
It's the
That's the- I know.
Cuervo's reporting.
I'm feeling these margaritas, Chuck Mindenhall. But what I would say is, in preparing for this fight, first of all, right now, can we just be honest? Right now is an awesome time at welterweight. Some of the older riffraff is finally being pushed out. There's a bunch of new guys coming up. Obviously, Sean Brady's coming up. Jack obviously is here. Shavkat is here to an extent. Ian Gary is here.
No, to the full extent, Ian Gary's here.
Okay, I mean, you can blow him later. It's all right. It's all right.
Well, you know,
But what I wanted to say was it's such an exciting time. And if you're just lining up fights that you can make at 170 that have some of this new blood, Jack Della is just 28 years old.
Yeah.
Hello, this is one of them. This fight, just on fight terms, fucking rules. It rules.
Yeah.
Now, does it have spectacle? Does it have massive popularity? No, it has none of those things. So you have to dock it. But it's an exciting time at welterweight, and this fight is one of the reasons why it's an exciting time at welterweight.
I think this is a sneaky good fight from a matchmaking perspective, from a
One more
amount of
note, if
fights
I
I
may.
want to see. Please,
One
jump
more
back
note.
in.
Last note I'm going to say is not one, not two, 3 fights at women's flyweight on this card.
It's true. It's a
You have the
big-time showcase.
champion.
Yes.
You have the champion. I think you have champion, number 1 contender, number 5, number 6, so number 5, number 7, and number 9,
Right.
all the way down this card. Dude, this division is going to have a massive upheaval and twist on a single night.
Yeah.
I got to say, I don't hate that either.
True.
And the individual matchups, Silva and Grasso, Shevchenko, Fiorot, Andrade, and who's she fighting? Andrade? Jasmine Jasdavicius. And by the way, kind of funny that we're coming off of 3 fights, 2 years of Shevchenko and Grasso, and here they are on the exact same card, pushing this division forward. Gentlemen, I submit to you, not that bad. A lot of belly aching over popularity, fine, can't argue with it. But over quality, there is quality here to be had. It should be recognized.
And I will just say that, like, we do the uncrowned rankings, the pound for pound. 3 of those women are in those rankings. I mean, like, if you just look at it from a perspective of that, you get, like, you're seeing the best in the world, I guess, in the women and then the flyweight division.
I'm just going to say, in an era where there's not, like, star power is not what it once was, and that's really not up for debate, like, I'm really leaning into, what
did I miss?
There was some funny lower third.
Let's go back. Let me
go
see
back
it.
to the lower
Let me
third.
see
Let's
it.
see here.
Okay. Smells significantly better than Michoud.
Yes.
That's not saying much. That's not saying much.
Significantly. That's the key word there.
He comes in
All
here.
right.
He comes in here smelling like roast beef and sadness. It's a lot.
More Keith Peterson. Yeah.
Yeah.
Just-
In any case, but in a era where star power is not what it once was, I tend to just make real big considerations around quality, and I think that this card has a lot of it.
Montreal, one of the best fight cities from just, you put 2 feet on the ground in there, you can feel the passion, okay?
Montreal is a great city.
It is a great
city.
Montreal is arguably North America's most underrated city.
100%.
You know, when we
I
were
agree
kids,
with you
we
100%,
thought we
man.
only thought of Club Super Sex when we looked at Montreal. Now, when you look
When
at
you
it
grow
from a
up out
full
here, yes.
culture standpoint, you're right. Also, a great boxing and MMA city. Yet this is the first UFC card in
10
Montreal in 10 freaking
10 years.
years. How does that happen, Luke
Yeah,
Thomas?
April of 2015, UFC 186,
I was
headlined by Demetrius Johnson and Kyoji Horiguchi. Patrick Cote was on that
Patrick
card
Cote.
back in the day.
Rampage Jackson was fighting Maldonado, which
Right.
was...
So do you remember the context for that? That's how weird it was
Yes.
last time. Rampage actually had an active deal with Bellator, pretended
Yes.
that he didn't. UFC signed him for a single
right.
fight, and then he had to go back to Bellator
Yeah.
in the middle of that deal. Just a weird time. So this is, for me, they're bringing, again, not bringing star power to the extent they even have it, but they're bringing a little more normalcy to this one, a little bit more set up for the future. I don't hate it at all.
Why does it take so long, though? This isn't like a COVID late response and getting
They've
back
been
there,
weird
right?
about going back to Canada more broadly. Now they're sort of warming up to it. Also,
I guess when you had GSP back in the day, it was a
Yeah.
lot easier to pull
I
the
remember
trigger.
correct me if I'm wrong, the rematch for GSP and Koscheck was in Montreal. The rematch
Yes.
for it, I
Yeah.
believe that's right. It was in Quebec, no matter what, I believe.
Yeah.
You
it was
know,
there.
when they had such a powerhouse, it was obviously easier to go back there.
The Nick Diaz fight was there with GSP, the
Yeah.
Carlos Condit. Like,
Oh, right.
for the longest time, it was a regular, regular visit and a hotbed for MMA. Remember Dana White back in the day was like, we'll go to Canada every weekend if
Yeah.
we can.
I was
you know?
shocked to see that number. I was wondering what
Yeah.
it was. And do you see? Is it true? You never can tell anymore on X what's real and what's fake. But are tickets not selling that well for this? And is it tied to relations between the two countries?
I would say
these
that
days?
it's probably a combination of things. Partly the card has suffered a little bit in terms of injuries. Partly, again, it's not a question of quality; it's a question of star power.
Sure.
There isn't much.
There are locals on it though.
There are locals on it, absolutely. I would say that so the gate is going to be interesting for this one because what they've been doing is, they've been doing $2 million, nearly $3 million gates in London, $4 million gates for sometimes fight nights. You're like, how is this even possible that they're doing this? But the cards for this, the tickets for this one, they're not selling poorly in an objective sense, but relative to some of these highs, they're not meeting it. So it's going to be interesting. I think the gate number will still be good, but I've had a bunch of people hit me up and say the ticket prices have
Come down.
collapsed almost. I mean, they've gone way down. There are still a fair amount of inventory available. What I think they're going to do is compare this gate to the one from 10 years ago, rather than, hey, look at how our pay-per-view gates line up, or we set the record in this venue. They'll probably compare it to the Demetrius Johnson card, which, for that era was a fine card, but probably didn't do a ton of cash.
That was before TKO came in and just turned up the temperature on the
that's
price gouging right there. So let's get into 315, and when we do, we look at the main event and the welterweight champion, and finally, the first defense for Belal Muhammad, who defeated Leon Edwards a little bit more than a year, a little less than a year ago, was supposed to come back against Shavkat Rakhmonov in the early fall, early winter. Of course, had the foot injury. Then we had Ian Gary against Shavkat. Now Shavkat is delayed still with lingering injuries. So we get Jack Della Maddalena in a very interesting matchup. But as much as I want to talk about this matchup for what it is, what it offers, who's going to win it, this matchup is also going to play a certain role, we think, UFC politics-wise, in deciding what the main event is for International Fight Week, June 28th, in Las Vegas, UFC 317. So, hey, it might be time for a little Cuervo shots fired as we look at this a little bit more intensely, and some comments from Belal Muhammad on the Anakin Florian podcast. And get fired up for some shots fired. And as you can tell, this shot's fired brought to you by Cuervo. Now's a good time to enjoy the tequila
Yeah. You know what?
that invented tequila. And I think it now is actually a good time, okay?
Look at this guy.
I mean, you can police the amount, Luke, all you want. All right?
I'm a good dad. Hey, why don't you pour more of that on the fucking table, you absolute
we're
fucking
gonna need
primate.
a rag in here, Ken, okay?
Jesus Christ.
Maybe to equal the one that my
Sorry,
co-host
I don't want to
is
take the
on.
Lord's name in vain in front of you. Cheese and rice.
What you got to say in front of your daughter?
No, I just say, fucking goddamn it shit.
Okay, that's horrible. As we shoot to happiness, to
this is gonna be
virility, right?
Already? What time? It's like 11:17 and
Arribo
already second
Bahabo,
one.
that's what I'm
Yeah,
talking
Arribo
about.
Smart.
Bababo.
I'm
Let's
doing
throw
this next time.
to the Belal Muhammad sound about the future of not just this division, but also the one below. We're talking about Islam Makhachev. Let's listen.
So I hate to even ask you about Islam Makhachev, and I'm only going to do so in the context of something you said to us when we were getting ready to call your fight against Sean Brady. You had all these positive things to say about Islam. You weren't at all thinking about the possibility of getting asked about him as a future opponent, and you talked about his humility and just how great he was, and now it seems like maybe there's some sort of holdup. Have you known him to be desirous of becoming a double champion prior, maybe more than trying to go down as like the greatest lightweight champ of all time?
Yeah, I mean, we've talked about it. We said it, and he's, oh man, you ruined my plans. It's one of those things like, oh, you won the belt, you ruined my plans.
Yeah.
And I think, like you said, where there's people now, they're waiting to see what happens this weekend. But I tell them, like, I would get your fight signed because I'm not leaving Montreal without the belt. I'm still going to be the champ. So start your camp right now. Whoever you have in line, whoever you have in store, you're good.
That was the Anakin Florian podcast, a fantastic long-running show. Chuck, this is kind of wild here. Is it easy to say, just like that whoever wins between Belal and JDM on Saturday will dictate whether this summer MMA fans get Ilya versus Islam, or maybe Islam versus Do Bronx, maybe Islam Makhachev going up in weight to welterweight? We've already heard Belal say he's actually willing to go to middleweight and take on Hamzat. Is it as simple as it looks here that they're going to wait less than 2 months out from this huge card to see what happens?
I mean, it seems to be that way, doesn't it? It seems to me that that's what's going on. Which do you prefer? Because, to me, if you got if it's Jack Della Maddalena and he's going to defend the title.
Yes.
What are we laughing about here?
Sorry, they got you again, Chuck. Sorry. All right.
Okay. Which do you prefer? I mean, this is like one of those things, because if you're trying to create a rooting interest, right? If you're trying to create a rooting interest for Belal Muhammad, maybe that doesn't exist, this is the kind of scenario you might want to plant into a pay-per-view, which is like, hey, if Belal wins, we get the fight we want. Because in my mind, the Ilya Islam fight is the one to make for International Fight Week. I feel like anything beyond that would become lesser. So in other words, if we get Jack Della basically fighting his title against Islam, that seems like a step down. Am I wrong? I don't really want to see that.
But I'm on that side. I'm on the Ilya Islam. This is a no-brainer side. There's a complete other side that involves LT, Jed Meshew that don't prefer that. So how does the Hunter Campbell photo that he took with Makhachev out in Dagestan, how does that, the words from Belal and your want to have Islam move up and Ilya to have a fresh path in there, which I don't understand, but are we heading in that direction, or
It's not really a question of is there a desirability around Ilya Islam? The question is, are we really going to go the entirety of Islam's career without him moving up in weight? It's a bigger question than just one fight. And to me, that is a little bit more interesting. Like, I mean, we just talked about how welterweight is finally, all these contenders are now starting to cook. I mean, we haven't really talked about, and there's not a ton of discussion around, what if Islam not just goes to 170, but stays there for a little bit, and now he's a contender there too. Holy shit,
Right.
all of a sudden 170 is even hotter now.
So perspective of 170, like if it, looking at it from the
It's
170,
just a much bigger piece of the pie rather than you're just sort of a sugar high of one fight. Yeah, I'll take the sugar high. Who wouldn't? But if there's more to be had, to me that seems like a much more interesting possibility.
Real quick, I wanted to bring in the fan in this, and this is the fourth member of our team today, our great bong enthusiast and producer-director.
I saw he was taking gonorrhea medicine.
Of the
That wasn't me, Luke. That was you.
Oh, okay.
of the Main Card Minute podcast.
It's one of the
Does
Lukes.
this mean Long Island Luke Nocita, son of an
Just said Luke on it.
son of an Australian, son of a horny down under man, and the timing was right? Is this where fans should be cheering for JDM to win so we can get Islam versus Ilya?
No, because I feel like, why does Belal have to lose to get Islam? Can't Belal win and stay at 70 and then Islam stays at 55? Or is the whole thing Belal wins and moves up and Islam moves up?
Oh, you're right. I screwed it up. So that would mean Belal would have to
Yes.
win to keep the title.
No,
there.
the question is, if Belal wins and it forces Islam to stay at 55, why is that preferred?
That's preferred. I want to see Islam Ilya as much as BC does, so
Yeah.
I'm fully in on that.
So we
fight.
need Belal to win in this case, then, to keep hold of that
I
title.
don't give a shit who wins, but I don't understand. Like we're talking about one fight versus Islam potentially having 3 or 4 at 170.
He's going to have a lot at 170.
He
Islam.
might not, though. That's the problem. If Belal keeps winning, we probably don't get there. I don't think that there's a world where Belal and Islam fight. I just don't. I don't
think
believe that.
Belal saying publicly that he's willing to go up to middleweight, willing to fight Chimaev. I think basically it's a setup there that, like, this fight on Saturday, this main event at 315, will decide whether we get Islam versus Ilya this summer. It will. But after that, I think Belal would move up.
I mean,
So he could give his friend a chance.
I don't think that UFC is going to do that. I
Interesting.
don't
Interesting.
believe that at all.
Well, that was Shots Fired, brought to you, by
Well,
the way,
what if Belal-
by Cuervo. And just a reminder, Chuck, that now's as good a time as ever to experience and enjoy the tequila, that invented tequila.
what if they did make Belal versus Islam? I mean, come on.
Why would
This-
they do that?
I know, but I'm just saying, like, if given that we're going through this process right now, they won't fight each other. We're waiting on if this happens, this happens. If this happens, this other thing happens. I remember when Rashad, was going against John Jones. These types of betrayals sometimes make for a fun buildup. I'm just saying, and not to mention that would be a fun fight. I don't know if they would ever do that, but
They have both unequivocally said no. They
Well,
respect each other too much. They had
I
great
just saw a
time
clip
together.
where he's like, it doesn't sound like he's totally.
I think he's the one that's more willing.
Yeah.
I don't think Islam has great interest in it. I don't think UFC has great. You're going to take a guy who is, again, I like Belal Muhammad. I think he has a good chance of winning on Saturday, but he's not well liked. And you're going to take the number 1 pound-for-pound fighter in the game and put him up against them versus doing that against Topuria. That makes absolutely
that.
no sense.
Like that,
There's
too.
no fucking chance
Indeed,
they do that.
Indeed. Interesting that this main event, though, can dictate so much in the future.
Oh, it has
so
enormous implications.
let's talk about this main event and what it brings to the table.
It's actually unique in this sense because I feel like we haven't had a situation like this.
In a
before.
while, right? Or
Yeah.
maybe ever. I mean,
Yeah.
it's so distinct where it's sort of
Yeah.
like it is going to dictate the paths of a lot of people. You say, and I think you're right, I've seen it. I interviewed Belal this week on my YouTube channel, and just the amount of just random hate that drops in, you're like, oh yeah, I forgot how polarizing his connection to the whole Israel-Gaza thing is, and Palestine by extension. Also just the fact, and it's probably a spot where I was a couple fights ago, a lot of people just still don't believe in this guy. But wouldn't you say recent history at welterweight with Shavkat looking not like a killer, looking human for a night against Ian Gary in a very competitive fight, and some of the other developments that now, in a weird way, Belal's getting a little bit more respect than he ever did, although he's still hated by such a huge part, where he's coming in rightfully as the betting favorite, and he's basically saying, look, I'm fighting a one-dimensional guy who can only box. I'm the kryptonite for this guy. I feel like if you hadn't seen Gary versus Rachmanov first or other things hadn't happened, we might be going, is this the time this fraud champion's finally going to get served? He kind of got respect by virtue of circumstances in a weird way.
Yeah, I think for a while that we felt like Belal was just going to be holding that spot until Shavkat got to him. But now, I'm not sure, man. Like, Belal is one of those guys now, the way he's winning fights. What is it, 12 fight, like,
Some
unbeaten?
absurd number,
You know, taking
11.
the 11. So
yeah.
11 win streak and, like, 12 unbeaten because of the one. But, you know, he finished Sean Brady. This is the guy who's kind of coming up behind it all.
Inside, too.
Yeah. So, I mean, like, it's one of these weird unsung things because a lot of times fans can separate a guy's personality, who he is, from the fighter. In a strange way, that hasn't really happened with Belal. I was very impressed with him going into that situation with Leon. You know, given the circumstances of fighting in very strange hours, enemy territory, all that stuff, and just dominating the fight he did. I don't know, man. I feel like he's kind of earned my respect. I feel like he is the guy to beat. It's not like a fluke champion up there.
Luke, I've come around. I'm just worried that I'm coming around too far,
late, yeah.
too late, like I typically do when I miss somebody on the way up. Yet, did you see the countdown show in the embedded? He's training during Ramadan again.
Yeah.
And it's like you continue to stack things against Belal Muhammad, and he continues to get better and find more ways to show us how great he is. It's just weird that we enter this fight now where I feel like people are looking at this matchup going, yeah, Belal's going to probably defend his title here, where I thought every step of the way for him, we would be looking at him as a transient champion.
Belal is definitely a guy I didn't see coming like this. I just didn't. I wish I could say I did, but I just didn't. And he got better and better and better and better. Here's what's interesting, though. Did he earn my respect? Absolutely. Like, you know, what are the odds on this one, Long Island, Luke? You share it with us?
I believe last I looked, Belal was like minus 200, JDM plus 170.
Right. So, I mean, not a
closer.
huge favorite,
Yeah.
but a decent sized. But the point I wanted to make was first of all, after the Sean Brady win, I was like, okay, that's interesting. And then after, like, I mean, the fifth round, obviously, is not that case. And I know Leon won another one in between. But in general, that was Belal's fight against Leon Edwards. And it's like, all right, I mean, what can you say now? The dude is absolutely legit. And by the way, did it when Leon had all these excuses about why he couldn't perform in his hometown. And Belal just showed up and said, right.
He dropped him on his head. He literally dropped him on the top of
Belal's
his head.
like, right, but that didn't stop me. Now did it? You fucking, okay, anyway. But here's what's interesting. Now the division is, the screws are starting to turn again a little bit here, where Ian Gary did stumble a little bit against Shavkat, but that humanized Shavkat, and now he got the win against Prochas. He surged. JDM has been off for a little bit, which we'll get to, but I think is an interesting contender for somebody we haven't seen yet this year.
And Brady's back.
Brady's back. And it's like Belal has turned into a guy that the fans, in terms of just who the fighter is, they'll make fun of him for being boring, but they do give him begrudging respect. But he has turned into the object to be unseated. Like they want to tune in because it's like somebody take the fucking belt from this guy. Which to me adds to, I mean, again, there's not star power, but it adds to some a degree of stakes that's involved.
Chuck,
as long as people care, right? Like they have to care.
The crazy thing what Belal's turning against is our expectations of him. Not one part of his game stood out on his rise, so it was easy, I guess, to sort of overlook his chances of doing exactly what he's doing. But in 2 months, he'll be 37 years old, so he's bucking the trends of age and all of that. When I talked to him in the past week, he said, in terms of why he might have some of the best gas tank given his age and that he's doing the best work of his career given his age, is that he got into the sport late and it's just that insatiable work ethic. Does it really just come down to this guy outworks what was expected to him and just keeps finding more success because of that?
I think he's married to the game. He's one of those guys who, you know, he shows up to the gym early, leaves late. He coaches guys beyond what they expect of him with his time, you know, how much he's able to give. He gives him his full self. If you talk to anybody in his camp, they talk about this. I think that's part of it. You mentioned it, man. Like, there was a point in time, he lost some fights early, right? Like, he was losing. He was just kind of
stopped by Luque at UFC 205.
Yeah, it was like he was kind of a guy that he wasn't going to be on your radar. He was going to be maybe even a prelim guy. It felt to me for the longest time. But he starts to emerge, and through that process, he gets better and better. He made, I think he was behind the eight ball forever. I don't think the UFC wanted to give him a title shot. I think it was one of those moments where you're like, the meritocracy has to win at some point. You can't deny the guy. They had to give him the title shot. Does that mean that they want him out? Maybe. You know what I mean? I don't know how much they really want to be in the Belal business ultimately, but his work ethic, man, has put him there. And he's one of those stories. I do agree. He has less miles on him, all told. José Aldo, who's on this card, is something like 37 or 38.
38.
And that's very close.
Sure.
But look at the difference in mileage there. You know what I mean? Like, so if you look at something like that, you're like, a guy like him can surge late. It's not too surprising. But the fact that he's gotten so much better to the point where I was going to ask you, like, if he fought Shavkat right now, or if Shavkat is the number one contender, if he were to fight him right now, who would you favor?
That's tough. I mean, I would still favor Shavkat, but
small, right?
Nervously.
But
Yes.
back, I mean, like maybe before the Leon, if you thought
It'd
about
be
that
like
fight,
minus 450.
yeah, you would have probably
right.
put it with something like that. So what he's doing is fairly remarkable, given all of
And
that.
he did that by sitting out with an injury. So to
Yeah.
be fair, these elements around him changed, and I think it made people appreciate more what he actually is.
Yeah, let me add a couple factors to that if I can. One is, what's the Thomas Edison quote? Genius is 1% inspiration, 99% perspiration.
Yes.
Belal Muhammad is that times a million. But the other part, too, we really have to give credit, and this is something I didn't pick up on until, because I didn't think he was going to beat Leon, and then he kind of houses him a little bit. And I'm like, damn, how did he do this? And I made a whole video about it. But in so doing, I hit up his coaches because I was like, did y'all do this on purpose? And they had... all of it was intentional.
Wow.
All of it was direct.
There's 2 world champions in that camp right now.
So they have Lewis Taylor put the guns down, who does some of his stuff, and then Mike Valley, who was featured in the countdown. I talked to Mike Valley a couple times several times after the fight with Leon. Dude, the level of detail that Mike Valley and his team, because it's not just him, he's very clear. It's not just me, it's all these other guys too. But he has that Gutierrez, his striking coach as well, him as well. The level of pre-fight strategic and tactical breakdown that they go through is, I'm not going to say more than what I've seen from other teams, but it's mostly more from what I've seen from other teams. It is so much more intricate than you realize. And I think having like a vision about how they want Belal to perform, as well as diagnosing the very, very specific weaknesses and context of his opponents, has given Belal a massive leg up. So it's a lot of him just absolutely refusing to go away and getting paired with, they said it in the countdown, arguably the most underrated coach in MMA, and I don't think that's crazy in Mike Valley.
And he's training another title fight during Ramadan. Like, and he's not even making a big
deal
deal
about it. That did end at the
about
end
it.
of March. It wasn't like it affected this month or all of April.
Give him
and
a
now
lot
May.
of credit. So,
Yeah.
what is the connection then to AKA and Habib? Is that more of a consulting, moonlighting?
He does some training with them. I mean, his home team is with Mike and whatnot, but he obviously does a lot of moonlighting for long stretches. With
He
some of
wanted
those guys.
to train in Chicago area so that they could be part of a champ camp, because he could have went the other way, but he wanted his guys, his loyalty to that gym, to experience this with him, through him, and all that stuff. So it's fairly admirable, really.
Then,
like,
then are we to judge and say this friendship, which I'm saying is absolutely legit between Islam and Belal, it's not like a DC and level friendship
With Habib?
Kane?
with DC and Kane. It's not
That's so different because DC
Merab
had to change
and
weight
Aljo.
classes to.
That's true.
He purposely dehydrated himself and lost weight,
Right,
which
but
we
you-
know he didn't want to
But
do.
you understood the
It's
reasons
crazy in
why that
retrospect.
happened because they were that tight.
Yeah.
We understand
Yeah.
why Merab and Aljo are that
No,
tight.
I don't think Kane and DC is comparable to Belal. And I don't think that's comparable.
So to how you kind of started earlier, like they had to fight each other.
Well, I was just throwing it out there. I mean,
Yeah.
you guys poo-pooed that pretty hard, but that's
Well,
okay.
look, he's
Wait.
leveled up because of the relationship. I mean, you can see where his game is getting better here, and
But
every step.
Do you
And
believe him? Because he said, like, "Hey, I don't need to take this guy down. I want him to like suffer through these hands." That type of
he
thing.
talks about the Canelo hands.
Yeah, he wants to show his hands. But I'm like, talking to what you were just talking about, I'm like, I find that a little hard to believe. Because remember, with Della Maddalena, like there was that fight. Who's the guy he fought a couple fights back? Who was a late minute? It was a last
Hasef Basel Hafez.
that guy.
It was a
It
split
was-
decision.
That guy took him down 3 times, kind of held him there for like 8 minutes. And I mean, I know that was a very strange circumstance, but if you see things like that and these
Yeah.
guys watch film,
Dude, Gilbert Burns took him down 7 times.
yeah,
7 times.
So I'm just, that's right. And I mean, obviously you obscure that because he finishes Burns,
Right.
but I think that's going to be very inviting for him. I just
how
can't
about-
imagine.
Let's talk about Jack Della Maddalena off the top and say he's getting this title fight in some weird ways because the seas parted at the perfect time, but he has been off for 14 months. He's coming off of a fight in which he was losing on 2 of 3 scorecards entering the 3rd round against, you just said his name. Burns. Boo Earns. And then he has to actually rally and finish him
Right.
in the final minute to be able to do that.
And his previous 2
And he
were
had
split
2
decisions.
split decisions
Yes.
before that. Are we overblowing the JDM has legitimate questions to be answered here, Luke? Or
No.
is this a legitimate referendum moment on his elite status
Absolutely.
and his first title shot at the same time?
No question about it. Now, to that point, he's been the time off I mean, we just saw Ryan Garcia and Devin Haney, different sport, different circumstances, but they were off for a little over a year, and they looked like absolute shit.
Dredging up the war over here, man.
I'm sorry, but they looked like shit. They looked like shit. They didn't look like themselves. And again, sometimes it takes a few fights to get back. You just don't have that luxury if you're JDM. You have to go right into the mouth of the lion here and take it on Belal. So first of all, that time off by itself means a lot. As I just mentioned, he got taken down 7 freaking times against Gilbert Burns. And if Gilbert Burns, you might remember the final sequence, he gets 2-on-1 and wraps and pulls JDM to the mat. JDM just has a presence of mind as he gets pulled to kick up on the other side to roll the guy through, which is amazing to do. But it's like, if you didn't do that one thing, we're not having this conversation about you. Like, he rescued himself, which is amazing. Then he hit him with the knee, the whole 9 yards. I'm just saying, there are a lot of questions about JDM. The inactivity, he fought 3 times in 2023, 1 time in 2024, not at all yet this year. This will be the first. That plus some of the development issues. But here's what I'll say, BC. We talk about this all the freaking time. He's 28 years old. He is just now starting his prime. And when these guys start their prime, they level up big time. Also, Belal, I think, kind of surprised Leon. He's not going to surprise JDM. JDM is going to have a clear sense of like patterns, what he wants to do, where this fight is going to take place, what the fault lines are that he has to win. And all of that, to me, make it very interesting. But you asked, like, you know, what happens here? I don't think it's fatal if he loses to Belal here. I really don't. But, you know, for a guy who's like, his best win was not accidental, but a little bit Hail Mary-ish. We are wondering exactly what the upside is. This is going to be a good fight to give us an answer.
If you could play greedy MMA fan, though, right now, to fill your own interest hole, to just, you know what I mean, just hammer that hole out.
Are you guys going to fuck later? What's happening here?
Let's just let the awkwardness pass. I'm sorry about that. Apologies. We'll edit that out afterwards. Would you sub in for your interest level, Brady or Gary or Shafkat right now?
Against
or are
Belal?
or are you just as fired up to see the things that you don't know about JDM?
I think you nailed it, because at 28 years old, and I mean, he has looked good. I think that he had a head of steam before those split decisions, right? Like, I felt like people were really talking about him. Then it was kind of cooled a little bit, and it picked back up again as he, like you mentioned, he got by Burns. I feel like he belongs there. And also, he does represent, you know, a market. Like, Australia right now can be kind of restored into its hotbed, you know, like becoming that place again, if he's able to do what people think he can. I just think that you mentioning level up. I mean, this is one of those situations where you're going, like, Belal has faced everybody. You know, he's faced such a wide range of people, whereas JDM hasn't. You know, he has not faced that level of competition. So I think it would still be surprising if this is the moment he does level up, he shows up, and we see hitting his stride, and he goes right through a guy like Belal. That would be truly surprising to me.
He's JDM 7-0 in the UFC. Obviously, the big wins are the Burns knockout, the split decision over Holland, but a lot of the wins before that, he does have a sub over Randy Brown, are more developmental wins on the way up. So, Luke,
well, remember, Long Island Luke, correct me if I'm wrong. I apologize, BC. The original pairing was supposed to be JDM versus Sean Brady, and then when the injury fell out, it ended up being Sean Belal and then Brady Leon Edwards. Is that right?
Yeah, that's what happened.
Was it? I don't remember them ever booking JDM.
No, they had him booked. They switched this.
Yeah,
he was supposed to fight Leon, I believe.
That's right.
And then they switched this over to the title shot when Rakhmonov got injured.
The timing was perfect for JDM. Is what Belal is saying this week as simple as he says it? When you compare the skill sets of the two of them, is it fair when Belal says JDM is a one-dimensional fighter who can only box and strike? And he's great at boxing, but that's all he can do. And by default, as the more well-rounded fighter with the gas tank and the Canelo hands, we can say what we will. Belal can box, but you go the Canelo hands route, you're getting aggressive.
Kurt Canelo, he might be better.
Yeah, seriously. Like, is it that simple to look at this as a one-dimensional fighter with a great? When his A game is working, do JDM's working?
I mean, I don't understand Belal's comment there, because it's like, what does he imagine his well-roundedness amounts to? Like, yeah, okay, he finished Sean Brady on the feet. That's fine. But, which is actually a really nice win.
He's
but
a hell of a grappler.
Well, okay, but those are control positions. He's not a dynamic finisher.
True.
JDM is obviously significantly better on the feet. Now, again, how that plays out in MMA context remains to be seen by virtue of what game plan he goes. But the point I'm trying to make is JDM has the kind of functionality in other parts of his game that Belal relies on in different parts of his game. Like they both have A games and then functional B games. Like the notion that like Belal is like vastly more well-rounded is, I think he's a little bit more well-rounded for sure. I'll give him the nod, but I don't think it's nearly as, either or as he seems to be presenting it.
All right, new segment brought to you by Cuervo. This is real talk.
Okay.
Honest answer here. If
I
this
am
is,
not HIV positive.
If this turns into a
Mr. Honest.
5-round boxing match, even though Bilal's got those Canelo hands, will JDM F him up over 5 rounds in a boxing match in which takedowns are not a part of this equation?
Yeah, JDM messes him up. JDM's whole game is this dynamic. I mean, look at his face, by the way. Like, shouts to my commentary partner at XFC, Jessica Aguilar. She has, the nose off to the side.
It's like Picasso.
That's a badge.
Dude, they're not in any way trying to hide it. Like they're cool with it. JDM's the same way. Sean Brady, dude, he got 2 contenders at 170 with noses off to the fucking side.
Shop haters think he gave himself cauliflower ear, like just to fit in. I think that's ridiculous. Like you have to earn that.
Bilal looks like his face has been like pressed down into like something hard for a long time with a bowling ball.
I'm sorry, I went in a different direction. What was the question?
The shop haters used to accuse him on Reddit. Before that, I was going to ask you whether you thought real talk. Because Belal says I'm confident. I won't take him down once. I'll box with him.
So again, Bilal's hands, there's real that you can't discredit them at all. But you have to understand like what makes JDM striking special. We talk about like what boxing and MMA means, and people think that means throwing pretty combinations. He does throw multi-strike combinations, more than 3 at a time, so he'll throw 3, 4, 5. That's not really it. He plays Frogger. That's what he does. So he stands in front of oncoming traffic and he dodges the cars. And the reason why that's relevant is because it gets him real close, and that enables him to then do those combinations. They look pretty because of the inherent danger he accepts as part of that style. Belal does not do that.
So you're saying
Belal bullies people with volume and makes them cover. That's not the same thing as I'm going to stand right in the line of fire and make you miss and then overwhelm you.
And before the show, you're like, Ngannou plays reverse Frogger. And I'm like, dude, it's way too soon for that. If we could have a...
Are you making a fucking joke about that?
Wow, sorry. It was the... if we could extend the real talk for a second over here, Chuck.
Fire him,
I put him on the spot right there about if this is a 5-round boxing match, what happens? Let me put you on the spot.
All right.
Belal with his very impressive pec deck. Does he have the best rack at or below 170 pounds
First
in
team,
all of
titty.
MMA or just
titty.
men's MMA?
Ooh, that's tough.
That's tough.
I think it's just men's though.
Yeah.
Right.
You give him that. You give him that.
He's gonna. There's no way he's gonna stay in a box. By the way, I'd be shocked because if he's getting pieced up in this fight, he's gonna
shoot.
Yeah.
Okay, then what's
this momentum also carries him into weird situations a lot of times because he'll come forward. Where else are you gonna go? Eventually, you're on the fence. If the dude's backing up, it's just.
Would you say Belal has that certain intangible that champions have that they know how to win close fights? They're just sort of the timing is there.
Well, look at his amount of decisions too. Like I think he's one of those guys who just slowly breaks your will over the course of a fight, doesn't he? Like just kind of putting it on you the whole time until you're like, I can't. There's nothing I can do.
It's just
here.
a thing. It's a thing in grappling. If you go 3 rounds with a partner, and the first round you kind of figure out there's a couple of places where they're weak, a couple places you can camp out, a couple places where they don't have a good answer for you. The round ends, you don't finish them, you go back to the next round, you're going to go right to it. Right. And then that's going to open up a secondary set of doors and then a third set of doors. And so that's what he does. He just begins to he's the key master from which Matrix was that? The second Matrix?
Yeah.
Where he's just trying the doors and he doesn't get them all open at first, but the one then leads to the other. And so it's this, people like he breaks your spirit. No, he just audits the little tiny leaks in the plumbing and then finds where to go and then the water spills out there.
Do we expect JDM to be able to leave his back off the canvas for more than it's not in this fight? Will he own the percentage of control here? Will he be able to make this more of a kickboxing match in the end?
That remains to be seen to me. That's like the big question. Like he does get taken down, and I don't know. Like
if we see him down twice in round 1, is it going to be a long night and his gas tank is going to be compromised?
Well, dude, because Belal is not a dynamic finisher, no. It's not like, dude. If you saw Islam get 2 takedowns on you, you'd be like,
that's that.
Okay, well, I mean, you're not gonna. I mean, this is done for you.
Yeah.
But with Belal, it's like he might capture the back and win the round, and that's bad because how do you solve that problem if your grappling's not good enough? But at a bare minimum, you can just lose the round. The next fucking round starts right back here.
Yeah, true.
That's a low percentage way to win, but it's not a bad thing. It's just not the same as when you're dealing with somebody who's a dual threat. He's not a dual threat.
Is it potential of a boring fight? Like, you know,
absolutely, dude, it's fucking Belal Muhammad.
But I mean, he's kind of given the guarantees of, and you. So I mean, I don't always agree that his fights are boring. I didn't think the Leon fight was boring. It was just a bad hour.
I'm being halfway facetious here. What I'm saying is,
no, I understand.
There's a capacity because he has such a control-based style to get.
That's the problem, because it always feels like a pattern. Even given the circumstance you mentioned, like if there's a pattern established, you know, and you're trying to get your bang for your buck on a pay-per-view, that's where it always goes a problem for him, because it's like, oh, so we're just going to see 5 rounds of this, you know?
Yeah.
And when people think like that, it becomes boring.
You see, if there's a pattern, I'll solve it. Check out the hook while the DJ solves it, son.
It's like,
we
have reverse roles
drop
here.
The zero and get with the hero. What'd you got, Chuck?
I said we reverse roles here. Like usually it's you singing. Today he's already busted out 2 90 songs.
It's just nice to see him so happy, isn't it?
Yeah.
You know, it really is. I think it's time we talk about, before we get your predictions, I want you to tell me if either man wins, what's their first title defense? Chuck, why don't you go first here?
So if I'm guessing, if since we're doing this whole dance, if Jack Della Maddalena wins, he's fighting Islam.
Damn, Luke, is it as simple as that?
Yeah, I fully agree. Yep.
Okay, that'd be a badass.
Which,
fight.
by the way,
would
is
they bring
a
that
fucking
to Perth?
awesome fight.
Would they bring that to Perth? They already made Makhachev fight in Australia.
That's a tougher question to answer. No, I don't think so. I think they're going to put Islam back in the States because I think they want to use what's left of his star power for pay-per-views.
Okay.
If it goes the other way, would it? It would either be.
Do we have an update on
That's the thing. Is it Sean Brady or Shavkat? I don't know. I feel like it's just going to be circumstantial as to who's available and on the date they want it. You know.
Yeah, it's Islam.
So, whoa, if it's JDM, but
you're
you're
saying
saying
JDM. Oh, sorry, if it's Belal.
If it's Belal, is it going to
it'll be Brady 2?
So Shavkat, you're thinking not physically ready.
He does not appear to be ready. Yeah,
it's
Brady
really
2.
strange.
Which, by the way, after the way Brady's been looking and the humbling he took,
it would be the right time.
Fucking
it's
the right
let's
time
make
to
that
do it.
fight. The other thing is, man, guys like Shavkat, I always feel a little bad for him because once they go off the radar, everybody just pushes them aside until there's it's very tough to break back in. Even though he had that standing, he just doesn't keep himself in the limelight that anybody pays any attention to.
I know. And it's like we lived through when the way John Jones got the title shot ahead of Rashad was waiting for Shogun. Right. And it's like, you remember that whole thing?
Yeah,
it's like,
100%.
dude, these fighters, it's like heads you win, tails they lose. It's because I want to wait for something, and then you wait, and then you can end up getting injured, and then you lose the whole thing. Or you can just jump on an opportunity, but then it's not the right time, and then you're going to lose it anyway. It's very, very difficult to navigate these situations.
What do you guys make of this unpublished podcast of which apparently Belal was a guest on the Henry Cejudo and Kamaru Usman fight or show, and apparently they didn't air this yet though.
No. I'm saying they need to.
They need to. Yeah. So apparently they had for 10 minutes they argued, and then Belal walked off the show. Should we fear that if Usman beats Buckley, that we're going to get...
I don't think Usman's going to beat Buckley. I think people are terribly overrating the condition.
Would they throw him in against Belal next and try to cash in on this? Is really what I'm trying to ask.
Belal Buckley? Ooh.
No. Belal Usman, because of this podcast scenario.
If he beats Buckley, it's possible.
I don't want that. All right. What I want though is predictions. I want predictions. I want to know who wins, when, why, how. Luke Thomas, you're up first.
I don't know, dude. I don't know. I don't fucking know. You know what? Who we should go to? We should go to the betting guy first.
Yeah, let's go to
the betting guy. What do you think?
All right, so my heart is obviously with JDM. I'm rooting for JDM.
Oh, yeah.
But my betting, Belal's going to win this fight. I think Belal's going to have his way with him.
You're betting, Jose, so you're picking him straight up and betting on him?
I'm betting on Belal. I'm picking Belal, but I will be rooting for JDM.
Did he lose his Aussie card right there?
Well,
I'm still rooting for him, man.
You didn't comment on that video I sent you of the koala jacking off?
Yeah, I was a little turned off by that.
If you can turn him off.
Yeah.
I also sent him one of a gorilla shitting in his hand and eating it.
Luke doesn't know yet. We have a Belal by decision, okay? What do you got?
I have the same thing. I think that it'll be one of those things. That's why I was talking about I think it'll be kind of established what kind of fight it's going to be, and that's what's going to piss off Montreal in the end. Is that Belal's going to?
You know what? The answer is I don't know. I'll take, because of everyone's picking Belal, which is probably correct. I'll just take a flyer on JDM.
There you go.
You know?
Yeah, but see, we don't want that because you don't have any passion or
There's
anything.
no
because
conviction there.
this is why the fight is actually interesting, which is that, like, dude,
That is true. though.
Belal is something of a known quantity,
Yes.
right? Now we feel like, okay, we've got a much better
True.
understanding of him. We just don't with JDM.
It's so
Not
true,
to the same
man.
degree.
All right, I feel like it will be a Belal decision, which is like the boring, obvious pick. But I think JDM drops him, puts some marks on his face,
Yeah.
and it's sort of one of those where you're like, oh wow,
if Leon can do it, you would imagine JDM might be able to do
I
something
think
similar.
it'll be a good fight. I think it's going to be a good fight.
I
So
do
I
think
hope
it's
so,
gonna be-
man.
It'll at least be a good fight in certain parts, for sure.
Yeah.
If JDM has his moments, then it's probably going to be a good
That's
fight.
right. Yeah.
It is. It is.
Or,
indeed.
Belal overwhelms him. That
That's
could
true.
happen too,
All right, let's get fired up for this co-main event on Saturday in Montreal. As Valentina Shevchenko, 37 years old,
Ankles.
directly off of her Sphere trilogy win over Alexa Grasso, who was on this card, as mentioned earlier. We'll welcome in, unbeaten in the octagon, Manon Fiorot of France, who is on fire. She will be the slight favorite. And this, by the way, Shevchenko versus Fiorot preview is brought to you by Total Wireless, the official wireless provider of UFC. Get unlimited data that won't slow you down. We're talking Total Wireless. It's interesting, Chuck, to see Valentina essentially win 2 and 3 of that trilogy, even though the second one was a draw, but there was a scoring error in there. And now Grasso's stock being down, and she's an underdog herself against Natalia Silva a couple fights earlier. But what do we make of this fight? Because I'm surprised that Valentina's the underdog. I have so much respect for the run Fiorot is on, what she did to Erin Blanchfield. She kept her back off the canvas. She lit her up in the striking. What are your expectations entering this? Is this going to be a big passing of the torch? It's certainly got that potential with Fiorot being the betting favorite coming in.
The Shevchenko puzzle is like the strange part, right? Because even before the trilogy with Grasso, there was that very close Tyler Santos fight. Remember, it was like a very close, and a lot of people at the time thought that she lost that fight. And then you get the Grasso thing, but then she's getting more dominant as this series goes on. So I'm not sure where Shevchenko is. And maybe you can tell me, how old is she? She's like 37,
37,
right?
I
So
believe.
37 years old, again, you have an aging champion, and you're like, I don't know when that starts to go. But I also know, just like Belal, that her work ethic is up there, and that she's married to the game in a very similar way.
It.
She lives the game.
We don't know who's married to Pavel. That's a topic for another debate. But she is married to this game. All right.
That's another thruple. But the
That puts that in Gano further behind us, by the way.
He's going to get married to the sister, so they'll be able to make him a groomsman. You know what I'm saying?
Oh boy. You're the mother effing best.
But I have to say that, to me, Manon Fiorot is like one of those fighters who is unsung, possibly because, I saw her at the Apex a couple years ago against Buena Silva, and she was so dominant that I've kind of paid attention, like, what is she going to do? And from there, she's only looked better and better. To me, that Erin Blanchfield was quietly one of the most impressive things that happened last year. To go into that situation, which I thought was really set up to be a showcase for Blanchfield to kind of get across, and to say, like, hey, this undefeated, 24-year-old gets a home game against this, Parisian or whatever, this French fighter coming over
From Nice,
yeah, and it was a setup for her to lose, and for her to win the way she did, it pieced her up on the feet, kind of keeping it. What she did is basically take away Erin Blanchard. I don't know if you've done like watch the tape on this to kind of break it down, but
this one, no.
She took away her, she exposed her for not having a plan B.
Yes.
There was no plan B. It was like existential about 2 minutes into that fight. You're like, how's she going to get through this fight? It was very crazy. That to me is fun, man, because Shevchenko is such a monster too. To me, it's like you're catching probably the quietest but most dangerous head of momentum coming at Shevchenko. It could be a long night for Shevchenko.
You ever wonder about your college years and Plan B had it been around?
Yeah.
Luke, when we're talking about the challenger here in Fiorot, 7-0 in the UFC, but I feel like sometimes in the women's division where there's not a lot of depth, you could get 2 or 3 great wins and be in a title spot. Dude, she really had to earn this when you consider in those 7 fights. She finished Tabitha Ricci, got a decision win over title challenger Mayra Bueno Silva, beat former title challenger Jennifer Maia by decision, a decision over another title challenger in Chukagian, and then she beats
She had that knee injury.
former
Yeah.
champion Rose Namajunas, and then unbeaten number 1 contender Erin Blanchfield.
Yep.
That's battle tested as shit
Yeah.
at 125. Like, maybe I should perk up and realize that her being the betting favorite's not crazy here.
Didn't have a strong opinion about who's going to win the main event. Have a strong one in the co-main. I think Fiorot should very much win this fight.
Tune like a guitar?
No, I won't go that far. That's some, you know. You know what? I feel halfway vindicated, Chuck,
Yeah.
because before the fight in April of 2024, I said, "Oh, Devin Haney's going to tune Ryan Garcia up."
Right.
Because I looked at the tape and Ryan's not good, and then sure enough, he's good in that one fight. But then he went back to also being not good, and so I feel like the wheels of justice grind slowly, but they grind finally. So in any case,
At least he's not a racist. But anyways, go ahead.
well, I mean, he could be that too. I mean, who
Yeah.
knows? But
All of Luke's heroes inevitably are. It
yeah,
seems.
anybody I've ever liked turns out to be a racist or an anti-Semite.
Especially
It
in
really
the-
is quite the
especially in
spirit.
the
Like
sport.
the other day, you were like, Nicky Rod's brother's great. You know?
Yeah, and then they're like, "Oh, turns out maybe not so much."
Yeah,
you know.
yeah,
Anyway,
tough break. Yeah.
tough break. All right, but the point I want to make was on this one. Now, there is a risk that the UFC is running here. They could run a boring co-main and main.
Right.
That is absolutely something that's on the
true.
table.
They
We
don't
cannot.
care. They don't care though.
Okay, I'm just saying we have to be ready. That I'm not declaring to you that is
Yeah,
what
you're right.
will happen. But that's
see that
on the
potential.
that's on the charcuterie board.
Yeah.
Yes.
Whether or not you grab the whatever. Anyway,
A wee, right, Chuck?
Wee.
Yeah.
but here's why she's interesting. She's a plus athlete. If you just look at Fiorot, she's built like a tank.
a wiry tank.
A wiry tank, but like her core is
Yeah.
like real. She's got like that Dustin Poirier wide body kind of situation.
She got an Audi.
Okay.
All right, I mean,
okay.
let's-
Yeah, all right, yeah, what about? Can you tell me about her feet, Chuck? I mean, where are we going with this?
Chuck's like, she's got it out.
As
But
the
in all
resident-
seriousness, she's an A+ athlete. And what was interesting about the Blanchfield fight was not just it was how surprising. I was like, because I thought Blanchfield.
Same here.
We had her in studio.
Same
we thought
here, man.
Blanchfield was just going to roll.
Did she do your room service thing? Was that what it was?
Blanchfield? Yes.
Yeah,
with
that's
her-
right. I
She came
remember
with her
that.
mom.
The happiest
right.
day of BC's life.
I don't understand these.
But what
these
I'm trying to point out
comments.
is her ability. You mentioned that that Blanchfield had no B game. Fiorot's ability to beat you to the punch and keep
Yeah.
you at her range is extraordinarily good. Her takedown defense, 93%. Only Jennifer Maia got her down one
Wow.
time and could only keep her down for like a matter of seconds. I feel like Shevchenko kind of relies on the takedown now more than ever. And you did mention she got
That's a
better
good
over the
point.
trilogy. I don't see it that way. I mean, I do see it that way in a sense. But what I really see it as is that Grasso got fucking
Dude,
way worse.
you have bought all the stock, and Grasso has gotten like way worse. Like
There's no
you are
denying
the
her takedown
president of
defense.
V-Chain right
there
now.
absolutely is no denying her takedown defense got worse. Absolutely got worse. She crumbled
It's pretty
under.
bad in that third fight.
It got terrible.
Yeah.
That's not going to happen with Fiorot. That will not be available to her. Not for very long, anyway. So for me,
I mean, Blanchfield only tried a couple of times. Remember, like 3 times, and she was
she
shut
couldn't
down.
get close
But she
enough.
couldn't get close enough, and then it was almost like she was like, "I have to abandon that idea."
Yeah.
Okay, but-
no. Shevchenko's going to have way more offense than that,
that's
and
what
way
I'm saying.
more
Because like
tricks.
someone like Blanchfield not moving her head at all.
True.
Yeah.
Okay,
True.
and even these good names that she's beat, how many of those would we say are elite strikers on the level of Shevchenko? What will this
Well, who
fight look
are?
like
I mean,
if Shevchenko is not making it easy for her? Blanchfield did not move her head; she was just getting lit up left and right, left and right.
yeah, but the point is, Fiorot can just. What you always want to look for is where the fight takes place in the octagon and who is defining the terms.
Mhm.
And the reason why Fiorot wins, even though it goes to decision after decision, except for her first 2 fights in the UFC, is because she sets the terms. And these opponents cannot find a way to change that equation. Now, Shevchenko, of anybody, has that capability. But I think as that fight settles into a groove, you're going to see Fiorot behind the jab, behind the push kick, dominant in the clinch, stuffing the takedowns. And it's going to put Shevchenko in a little bit more of a compromised position. She doesn't have the same athleticism at age 37 as she once did. She's been fighting the same opponent for 2 fucking years.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, Fiorot is positioned here to do real well.
All right, Chuck. Real
Good value on
talk.
that.
Colorado edition.
All right.
Who's more racist?
Take me back. do. If Rose wasn't injured in that Fiorot fight, does Namajunas get a close win and we're not here right now?
No.
So what I'm saying is that's the most competitive fight we've seen for Fiorot, where she had to do the most adjusting.
Yeah.
And she ultimately looked very good in that fight, but she had to overcome some things, including Rose's right hand. I'm just saying,
That's
is
true.
that going to be
That's
a
probably
preview?
true. I was like going back and trying to, but I think that Fiorot, it would. I mean, that's one of those ifs to me because I don't really know how that would have played out. But honestly, almost everything that I've watched from Fiorot has been pretty dominant. When you mentioned this kind of who's dictating the terms, she's almost always dictating the terms, and I think that that's like what makes her who she is. Like she just kind of. I wonder in this situation. Have you ever talked to her? Manon Fiorot? I talked to her.
My French is not great.
Well, it's like so she goes through a translator, but it's like as
dry
as you can. It's just there's not like she's not giving you a lot of personality, and I don't know how she is in her native, like if it's with French media or something like that. But I always wonder about this kind of champion because she's so unsung in the United States, at least. Like people aren't talking about her. Like what is her ceiling in terms of, is it just going to be like if she wins it, they're going to have a show in France? Are they going to do something like that because they can capitalize on that sort of thing with with Cedric Doumbé like kind of selling out? Maybe they can bring something like that. It's a weird one because we haven't seen a lot of champions
Cyril Gane,
Cyril, but we haven't seen a lot of champions that are that quiet, that are that dangerous. Like she, to me, is kind of in that terrain where we should have seen her coming for a long time here.
At least her game is fun to watch, but I get exactly what you're saying, right?
Fiorot?
Yes.
Yeah, I don't love her game.
I think it's fun to watch for somebody who's a
she snowboards.
For someone who gets decision wins, I think it's fun to watch her break people down offensively.
Technical thrillers,
indeed. So I don't know what would be the big surprise here if we're gonna F around and find out again that Shevchenko is as good or better than we thought historically.
Takedown dominance would be very surprising.
That's how that's her path. Is that the only path?
I won't say it's the only path, but you're asking like what would be surprising. That would be surprising if she shows takedown dominance. I'd be like, wow, that is extremely impressive.
That would be
because Fiorot. Again, I'm going to say it. It's not that she has. It's not merely that she has good technique. I think people really sleep on what kind of an athlete she is. Man, it's a different level with her. For her,
I mean,
for Shevchenko to get on to be able to secure a top position for takedown would be impressive.
Yeah, because Fiorot is so stubborn, so strong in that regard. This is a tough ass fight. The more you break it down,
it is a tough fight.
So, what do you make of Valentina?
It's sort of fascinating though too.
In her nomad training style, where she can be on a boat. It had some fights. This time, she was in El Paso in a tiny gym, like always floating around, always in Thailand for half the year. It seems like. We marvel at how her consistency, her longevity, but do you feel like she's been actually adding to her game?
It's hard to say because she's been fighting the same person and has had the same kind of.
And you put more of that on Grasso, kind of declining over the course.
He puts all of it on that.
Well, mostly.
I mean, you could make that argument, and I think that's when you're talking about the Grasso fight here. I think we'll find out, right? Like we'll see kind of where she's at.
Dude, I mean, just think about it. She got on top of Grasso. Did she do anything super memorable in terms of passing?
No, it's not that one.
She got basic takedowns.
I've been in some real duds lately, man.
She's got basic takedowns and like secure top position with a little bit like modest ground and pound. I'm sure I'm forgetting something, but that's what comes to mind. And I just don't think that avenue is going to be there against Fiorot. So the question is like, what avenue is going to be there? And it's going to be at range, and that's a more 50-50 proposition.
What's the best concert you've ever been to with a female lead vocalist?
Oh, man.
That's on topic, kind of.
I mean...
That's a good question, actually.
I saw Hole once. That was pretty good.
Did you really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Go on! Take everything!
That's it. This is the third one. I'm good, like this drinking game now. You remember that band Belly?
No.
Yes.
Belly.
Holy shit.
I saw them... I saw Radiohead open for them in Boulder, Colorado once. That was a fun concert because of those two bands together.
I saw Garbage.
I never did see that one. That would have been a fun.
I've seen Luscious Jackson.
I saw the Breeders. The Breeders was a good
Jackson?
Yeah, Naked Eyes, baby.
L7.
Dude, I one time got taken on a date to a Tegan and Sarah concert.
Dude, I love Tegan and Sarah.
Yeah, there wasn't a second date on that one. Let me assure you.
and Cervenka, X saw them.
I've
seen a lot of
them. I saw
them.
Flyleaf. You guys don't know who they are. Fully Alive.
By the way, you're getting close with your favorite band, I noticed. Like the
Cannibal Corpse.
Fetal one.
Dying Fetus?
Yes,
it's
Dying
all
Fetus.
dudes. It's all dudes. Yeah.
No, but I mean, you're getting close with them. I just think
I met up with Eric Rutan, the guitarist of Cannibal Corpse.
Cool.
Yeah.
Will we ever get a Zoom call on MK with George Corpse Grinder?
So what I found out was I didn't know this, right?
He didn't answer.
So I finally met up with Eric Rutan. They were in DC recently, and I went to the show. We hung out, and I don't know how it came up, but we were talking. He brought up pro wrestling or something, and one way or the other, he goes, "Do you know who?" He goes, "Because I don't like pro wrestling." He's like, "Do you know who in the band is the biggest pro wrestling guy?" George Corpse Grinder, the lead singer.
I knew it.
The one who talks about shooting blood from his cock.
Yeah.
That one.
Yeah.
Oh God! All right, back to this
GG
fantastic fight. Look, if Valentina wins here, we're certainly talking about just adding to her great resume. Okay,
Yeah.
if she loses, we're gonna go. Maybe that's the end of the run of the incredible run she had. If she wins, though, are there remaining mountains to climb? I.e., the idea that Nunes is coming back, and the idea that we've thrown around a long time that is women's bantamweight
Right.
is so weak that couldn't she go back up in weight and be maybe a 2-division champion? If Valentina wins, Luke Thomas, do you see more history and more mountains to climb in her future?
I would say that if she wins, that you really have just a couple of options. One is 35, and that's something that she might do for posterity's sake. And then the other one is the one fight in the top 5. Excuse me, we mentioned all the top 5 fighters on this card. 2 of them that are not are Blanchfield and Barber, who are fighting later on, in I think a month or so. I forget exactly when it is. So if Barber wins, well, then you have a fresh name that's kind of been hyped, Contender Series alum. She might stick around for that, but those are your 2 options. Because if Blanchfield wins, she's going to fight. I mean, maybe, I don't know. But, if you beat Fiorot, it's playing a little bit of MMA math, but would it make sense to fight Blanchfield? I don't know how that would go.
What about Wei Li Zhang?
Yeah, what about Wei Li moving up?
That's a
So
big
that's
option.
an interesting one. Yes,
That's a big play right
yes,
there.
that one could do it.
I'm
Yes.
wondering with Amanda back, is it back just for one fight against Pena, or could we get that trilogy
or Kayla
with Valentina?
Or Kayla.
Well, I think if Valentina loses, she fights Rose, because Rose wants that really bad. They've trained together. They have a lot of respect for each other. That'd be kind of an interesting fight. But if Fiorot wins, what's the first title defense? Or are we going to find out after Saturday's
Blanchfield
card?
Barber winner.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I mean, if Natalia Silva beats Alexa Grasso coming off of that
So,
trilogy,
so that's the wild card too. I think that one's a little bit behind.
But Natalia's fairly young, right?
Yeah.
And she's won all of her fights in the UFC, so I mean, it would be hard to
And
deny
has
her.
had time off due to
That's
tragedy.
why it is
and-
good, though. That's why it is a good card in that way, because you get a lot
Sneaky.
of clarity
yeah.
on these things.
Every time we bring up this matchup, he's like sneaky, and I'm like, yeah, kind of. But Luke, we need a prediction: Shevchenko versus
Fiorot via
Barber.
decision. Very
He's
confident.
been firm. He's been consistent. Chuck.
I think it's going to be the same way. I think it's the same thing. And I mean, if it goes the way that I keep seeing all this, man, what a delicious
I'm
Why
gonna
are,
take-
you, why are you breathing over there like Skip Bayless?
I think
He wants
Shevchenko can do
Shevchenko.
this.
He wants
It's going to be
Shevchenko.
really hard fought. It might need to be a boring fight. It might need to be people saying that they didn't agree with the decision. It's going to have to be close, but I think she can do this. I'm going Shevchenko by upset,
There you go.
cloudy decision, meaning split majority in that vein. Long Island?
I got a bet on it, so I'm going Chevy decision as well.
Yeah, but he never bets with his heart anymore. It's always
I
about
know.
the
It's all
numbers, you know?
transactional with him.
There was value on.
Don't
Chevy
trust guys
here.
like
She
that.
cashed as a dog last time. You know, you got.
Do you hear yourself? You don't even speak English anymore.
It's just, yeah.
Chevy.
It's like secondhand Australian. Yeah. All right, let's keep going down this pay-per-view card. I want to get more excited about José Aldo fighting in Montreal, but it's like not against some of these older guy fantasy matchups I want. It's against,
Aiemann Zahabi.
the Ariel Helwani lookalike, who's 37 but is on a 5-fight win streak, is the brother of Faraz of Montreal fame. But like, this is the third straight fight where Aldo's getting the Anderson Silva booking, where you're like, he's a legend. He doesn't need to fight Cannonier. He doesn't need to fight
So
Derek
weird.
Brunson. Like, I don't want to see Aldo against his last 2 opponents, which he's split.
That's true.
The Chris Gutierrez, right?
Yeah.
And
The
what was
Bautista fight.
And the
Bautista.
Bautista
Gutierrez,
fight.
it
Oh my
was
God, yeah.
Jonathan Martinez.
Sorry,
Martinez,
Jonathan
yeah,
Martinez.
right,
Thank
right.
you. I don't feel
And then
like I
Bautista.
need this. Can you guys talk me into José Aldo versus Aiemann Zahabi?
What I'll say is, if you're Zahabi, the way he has turned his career around, I think he's also a bit surprising that he ended up in this position. Better late than never. At 37, you're right, a little bit older. He was due something kind of fun. It's just that I don't want this for José Aldo. I would
Right.
want him to be in Dominic Cruz's retirement
Yeah,
fight.
why are we not doing
I know
that?
it is really strange.
Because they're cashing him out. They're cashing him out.
Yeah.
I mean, look at it for what it is.
But they're not even putting him in
they
against somebody
gave
that
him-
I think can
dude,
use it in a great
You
detail.
mean like Mario Bautista?
That's what I'm saying.
They're
We're
cashing him out.
we're losing the recipes, Chuck.
They're cashing
You know, it's
him
really
out.
screwed up, man. It's been 6 years since he went down to bantamweight. Like, I remember when he was doing that. 6 years he's been doing this.
It's insane.
It's incredible. Like, we were like, when he was doing it, it felt like, man, what are you doing? You're probably not gonna make bantamweight, and
Yeah.
what are you going to do? Resurrect yourself? And 6 years later, we're still talking about him and facing guys like this, kind of woodwork figures that they owe favors to. I don't know, like a Montreal guy. you can put a Montreal guy in this. I don't know.
Zahabi has put together a very respectable win streak. He was owed a step up. For sure he was owed a step up. It's just that this was the only step up they could have given him, like a legend in the game who you like to see in a little bit more.
How about Cejudo Aldo?
Well, he had the eye poke. I mean,
Well, so I'm saying that caliber of fight.
oh yes. I fully agree.
Yeah.
Yes.
How about Garbrandt
I don't know.
Aldo? Would you like that more than this fight?
Nah, he's kind of
Did you see his new long hair though?
Garbrandt?
Yeah, he's got like wavy Mr. Faber hair now.
Does he?
Yeah, you go check him out. He's
No way.
He's rebranding more aggressively than Leonard Ellerby when he turned to Uncle Phil.
So
Right?
he's turning into like a really fit jelly roll or something.
I think so. Of this 5-fight win streak for Zahabi, the highlights are a decision over Ricky Turcios. How do you say Aori Kailing?
Yeah, it's the Chinese guy.
Stop, you got a
Richie
KO.
Lang.
Richie Lang, thank you.
Okay.
Then you got a decision win over Javid Bashrat, and then a decision win over old but still there Pedro Munoz.
Those last two are good wins.
Where are we at in terms of like how tough, how dangerous, how good is Aiemann Zahabi? Aiemann.
Like I said, he was owed a step up from this. Like those last two wins are legit opponents. Those are not bullshit opponents at all. He has really worked on his skill set. He was a guy that I thought was a bit also ran. That's really not true.
Yeah.
He might even win. I don't think that's necessarily out of the question. It's just
what are we doing
Who's
here?
the favorite? It's
Do we have the odds long?
Jose Aldo minus 198, Zahabi
Okay.
plus 164.
Yeah, I think it's about right.
Isn't that telling you you're doing something wrong? Put him in with the rising stud that can the real rising stud that can really benefit from it. I don't know.
I don't know what's going on.
Peyton
with Jose.
Talbot?
The Jose
I don't
Aldo trajectory is as crazy as it gets.
I know. I can't believe that he's allowing him. Like Jim Miller has a bit of a different career. Like he was never a champion, and trying to make use of the last chapter in a functional way is totally understandable. It's just surprising that Aldo is acquiescing.
All right,
to
what
this.
about Aldo moving back up to feather and taking on Chihuihuis?
Better, but the problem with that is Chihuihuis doesn't have great stand up.
Chihuihuis is 35 though.
He's one.
He's
a big
35. You're right.
I'm sorry, I thought he was a feather.
But the other problem is that Aldo has motherfucking lights out takedown defense. Marab couldn't even.
Isn't
get him
that an
down.
interesting as shit fight?
Yeah. No, he'll fucking smoke Chihuihuis. What are you talking about?
Where if Chihuihuis wins, he gets a huge push and a huge. Did you see him
that's a big
on his first podcast episode? He had that chick on, and he asked her whether she's ready to take down Drake's 9.5 inches, and she just walked off.
Oh man, no, I didn't see that.
It was kind of like Aspinall and Nina drama that time. It got weird.
Well, MMA fighters have lots of things to say. It turns out.
Luckily this show didn't get that weird in comparison. Do we have a prediction? I mean, we want Aldo to win. I want another Jeremy
I suppose
Stevens
I'll lean
moment.
Aldo. Yeah.
It's just come on.
Yeah, I'll lean Aldo.
GFL could have really used him. They really could have.
GFL could use another 10
Couldn't
million.
PFL use him? Like, couldn't you feature Jose Aldo against
Do you think PFL knows what the fuck to do with him?
You just broke news that they were having a big show coming up.
We'll get that at the end of the show.
With no American TV deal.
It's great. It's really great. Log Allen, Luke, you have nothing to say about this fight, do you?
I kind of think Zahabi's a live dog here. I thought the odds would be flip flopped. I'm not gonna lie. I thought Jose Aldo would be a dog, so I'm a little weary to take him at minus 200.
Yeah, that power's still there. The delivery system is still there.
Decision.
The gas tank's, it's getting shorter and shorter.
I don't know where he finds it.
The interesting part about it is the leg kicking. Pedro Munoz is a dominant leg kicker. He got kind of neutralized in that one. Aldo is also a dominant leg kicker, but Aldo is much better about slip and rip.
But on Countdown, they talked about when bringing back the old kickboxer Aldo. And I know they say that every fight.
Yeah,
It's going to be the dominant
that's a bunch of
leg
bullshit
kicker
that I don't
again.
care about.
But maybe they're seeing that in the scouting report. Just
could
the
be.
same. Okay.
Why don't you spill more?
No, I've
Cuervo?
wiped it all up. I've got a judicious maxi pad over here. Okay, here we go. Let's continue on down the line. How about this women's flyweight matchup? Former champion Alexa Grasso, coming off of the draw and loss in succession against Valentina Shevchenko, will take on an absolutely rising 28-year-old Natalia Silva from Brazil, who, count it right now, she is 18-5 with one draw overall, but unbeaten in the UFC. And when you look at some of those wins from Jazz Davicius through Andrea Lee, Jessica Andrade last time around, this is a very interesting potential Crossroads matchup. But Crossroads, Chuck Mindenhall, if we're buying as much stock as Luke is presenting in this seemingly in her prime great fighter is going downhill fast in terms of the skills are just evaporating off of her. Are we overblowing the Grasso ain't shit anymore? And should she be a betting underdog against a really good fighter in Silva?
I don't think we're overblowing it either. I think that the Grasso that showed up at the Sphere was not in any way the one who first beat Shevchenko. You know, I know a lot of people, and I've been doing it too. You kind of give credit to Shevchenko for kind of, solving it, but I agree that there's definitely something there. I don't know what it is. They was talking, what was it? What was the famous silk sheets thing? I don't know. She was a champion for a minute. I think she did her victory lap. I don't know if that somehow compromised her, the hunger. We'll
she
find
went
out.
up the Egyptian cotton rankings
Maybe.
quickly. Maybe.
Yeah. But
that 1,000 thread count, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So we'll see. To me, that's the putting her on this card. It becomes like a big showcase for that division. But I think one of the biggest intrigues is this fight, given that she's 31 now. For the longest time, she was this prospect. We always talked about her. She'll be there eventually. She slipped a few times, then she broke through. Now it's like, does she still have it? At 31 years old, she's already went through all this.
Dude, after the quality of opponents she's been facing. Look, tell us, speak a little bit deeper into that. Are you really that nervous that she's not physically washed, but that she's lost sight of the plot?
She appeared to have her confidence shattered a little bit, but her takedown defense just regressed.
But Silva's not going to shoot once, and you know this.
No, she won't. And I think it's worth considering a change of opponent might be good for Grasso at this point, actually, and exactly what the doctor ordered. I'm not counting her out for that reason, but I'm just saying over the course of 2 years and 3 fights, she got demonstrably worse. And it's hard to know exactly why, but I think the enormity of the challenge just kind of, she almost psyched herself out. I mean, to me, it's not so much physical issues as it is psychological ones.
But what ilk is she made of, to go back on the Leon Edwards, John Anik call? I feel like we can't, like the idea that she can come back and put Humpty Dumpty back together. She's built like that. She's wired like that. She's a live dog in this matchup.
Yes, I agree with that. Yes, I fully agree that she's a live dog. Yes,
but she has more ways to win.
How do you walk out of the Shevchenko trilogy? I mean, without big questions. I mean, I guess one way would to do that would be like, well, it's Shevchenko. We don't have questions, but I have questions. Like, your takedown defense should get better over the course of 3 fights, not clearly worse. And it wasn't like Shevchenko's takedown entries were dramatically different. It's just that her defense collapsed. That's a weird thing to happen for a fighter still in their physical prime. That's a weird thing.
It was hugely disappointing for anybody who expected a competitive like the trilogy of it, right? Like that you would get the best maybe at the end, or you'd get some back and forth. And I could see her coaches and everything were just so disappointed in everything that happened there. I feel like maybe you're right. Maybe it is a confidence issue. Maybe she rediscovers it here, but something was clearly off with her.
All right, but here's the deal about Natalia Silva. I'm as big of a fan as her high motor, her personality, her work ethic, as I am fearful whether she'll be a true defeater of the elite. Despite the run that she's been on, she's got to win over Andrade. I mean, she's making some moves here. But she showed a good chin down the stretch against Andrade. She's showing some of those intangibles. But I don't think she's enough of a power striker. She's a volume striker to really put people in the notion of being in danger. She's also not a big ground worker in that regard. If the old Grasso is willing to come back through that curtain, I'm wondering if this is the perfect elite opponent to remind everybody who you are against.
If Grasso can work behind that jab, I think you're onto something. But do
you feel those limitations on Silva that I feel?
For sure. And again, she has had she's done good work in UFC, but remember she had a personal tragedy and had to come back from it and the whole 9 yards, and that takes a little bit of time and it can derail you a little bit. So you know what kind of look are we actually getting at her? I think we'll get a better one this time. Yeah. But I'm saying Grasso has the tool. Grasso had the tools to beat Shevchenko, but she was a little bit overwhelmed physically. Silva is also a bit of a physical powerhouse, is a strong word, but she was able to match Andrade to a degree, and I think that might also play a role, especially in the clinch. So to me, it's a question of like that jab from Grasso, putting it in range, scoring offense, making her answer for it. That's, to me, going to be the big question here.
Chuck, this is the deepest women's division. Do you see, when you look at Silva, I could see her with the title? Do you get that feeling?
I mean, I feel like this fight will fill us in a little bit that way. I don't know. I'm with you a little bit. You have to kind of see this first, but I do wonder. I remember we talked about this before with the Cyril Gane, Francis Ngannou thing. You're like, what if what if Francis comes out and wants to wrestle?
Somebody had the
like
balls.
the weird thing is, I'm like, if you feel like that could be a potential confidence busting thing to do, to plant something in her head. I mean, we'll see. I doubt she does that because she's never really shown that in her game, but sometimes you want to see people mix it up a little bit, not be one-dimensional. It would be interesting if she did try to plant some fear into her head that she might do that.
And don't forget, Chuck was the one who said maybe it's Poton's story. Just the most poignant words ever said on this show.
Turns out it was.
It really was.
Sort of, yeah.
It really was. What's the line on this one with these ladies in the flyweight, Long Island?
Sorry, I'm eating. Plus 210 Grasso.
Very, very professional.
Minus 258 Silva.
Wow, that's pretty crazy.
Wow.
They've got doubts about your girl.
They
Grasso.
think she's washity here.
They've got doubts.
Okay, Grasso's at her
Gosh,
best
the
win.
days of MMA like betting, not knowing what's going on, are over, aren't they? Like I remember back in the day, you'd see some lines, you'd be like,
Oh,
that makes
yeah.
no sense.
Jose Aldo plus
I
600.
know.
You'd be like, oh, bitch, I'm about to
I know.
clean up.
Yeah,
I know.
Interesting stuff right there.
Interesting stuff right
I'm
there,
gonna lean.
guys.
Let's go to it. I got to lean Grasso. I got to take the plus money here. I think that look, she's got to make it a little bit more of a messy fight. She does have great boxing, but I think she thrives in chaos with that great boxing rather than the other way around. Silva likes to be clean with her strikes. She likes to control that distance. She's got very sneaky kicks. But if Grasso can get to the clinch and make it more of an inner fight, you were talking about innies and outies earlier,
Right.
like an
I was.
absolute creep show. If she can make it more
I'm
of
the creep show.
an innie fight,
I mean, the balls to
yeah,
say
I know.
that.
I mean, come on. If it can be an innie fight, it could be.
Yeah. The other thing is,
who are you going?
does it matter that like so Grasso's been involved in several 5-round fights? Does it matter? Like, was she better in a 3-round where she can kind of like,
Yeah.
kind of? I think she. The where she was at when she got to that Shevchenko series, I felt like she was really
Peaking, yes.
peaking. So I'm like, maybe going back to 3 rounds where she doesn't feel like she has to conserve or anything like that. Maybe that changes things too.
You take away that championship pressure too.
Yeah, we'll see.
Yeah, but at the same time, if you're Silva, this is a huge opportunity
yeah.
for you. I mean, she's going to be riding that one,
Yeah, she has a win over Macy Barber too. I mean, this has been a
She's
good run for Grasso.
She's good.
It's going to be interesting to kick off the pay-per-view card to round out the 5 fights. BSD, Benoit Saint Denis. I didn't think we saw this coming.
Benoit Saint Donkey. I mean, what
Benoit
a fucking donk he is.
Saint Denis. The quote that Luke's mentioning is when he came out this week and said he's been kind of training himself the last 2 fights, and he now
Fucking
realizes maybe that
kill
isn't the
me.
great. Like, I didn't see this
What?
losing streak coming, but I
didn't
still
see
feel
this.
like the future's there. Who was the original opponent that just got
Joel
pulled?
Alvarez.
Joel Alvarez,
bro.
and it would have
This
been.
was
Oh my
supposed to be
God.
a fucking banger.
I know.
So instead, we get Kyle Prepolek, the
Yeah.
35-year-old
4-1
from
since leaving
Windsor,
UFC.
Ontario.
He went 0-2 in the UFC in his initial run. They bounced him. He went 4-1. I think he's got 3 first-round finishes.
So he's just a Canadian homebody there.
Yeah.
Like, throw him in there.
He lost
Yeah.
decisions to Nordine Taleb and Austin Hubbard. He screams, what's that dude with the green hair, Chris Moutinho,
Oh,
right?
God.
He's a little.
He's a little better than that. Chris
He's-
Moutinho was not ready for anything.
Okay, but the whole
Why
point
did they let
here.
that kid hear the scorecards? They stopped that fight with like 15 seconds left. It's
Yeah,
like,
they did. Yeah.
Yeah, well, he
taking
was
a-
terrible.
I know.
Turned out.
So look,
But they let him take a hellacious beating anyway.
Benoit still 29,
Yeah.
Not Chris.
knocked out by Poirier, stopped by Moicano with the cut, and that was a hellacious fight. I'm not throwing away the stock though. Where are you at in this experience, Chuck?
I remember maybe 18 months, 2 years ago, we were talking about the guys coming up, and he was one of the guys that we were like, watch out for this dude when he gets there. It's crazy to me that he's derailed this hard, where now I mean, this is a setup for him. If he goes in there and loses a fight like this, I'm like, I don't even, it would be one of the biggest disappointments. That's how high I held him at one point. I thought he was going to kill. It was a lock for me that he was going to beat Poirier.
Yeah.
And so I don't know. These
But didn't he take these fights with like legit medical issues?
I mean, can you imagine how fucking dumb you have to be? I'm going to fight Dustin Poirier with no coach and staph infection.
Yeah.
And I think I'm going to win. Like, your judgment has to be poor.
Well, no,
No.
I think he just believed in himself so much.
I'm sorry. I don't do this too often, but this one deserves it. Your judgment is shit. If you think you can beat Dustin Poirier with staph infection and you haven't had a fucking head coach,
You almost got him out of there in the first round.
You make very poor decisions.
Okay, do we blame him for the Moicano loss, or did that fight just get away from him
halfway?
quickly?
Also, another fight where he had no fucking coach. But
I don't know how that's Beirut Shumanov used to do that at the elite levels
but
of boxing. You're like, what are you doing?
Moicano is slick, and Moicano is another guy who had a bunch of losses and then really got better as a
momentum.
He had momentum, and that was a good. Like, he was a guy who's over aggressive in the wrestling, but not quite sturdy enough in defensive jiu-jitsu. Is the kind of guy Renato Moicano can just pick right off. And that's what you saw. So, like, definitely it was just a moment in time. I still am high on BSD in the sense that, like, he's not too old. He's an A-plus athlete. He has a go-getter attitude. He just needs someone to guide him and make fucking good decisions for him.
Let's play Matchmaker Monday. What coach is perfect for him?
Well, he's in France, so I mean that kind of.
Hey, you can reroute your life.
All right, if you want to.
Did you see Joanna was in Valentina's camp ahead of this?
Yeah, I would say
Really?
who's a
I didn't
good
see that.
coach for somebody like that, who's got like good grappling prowess too.
Fabio?
Honestly, them boys at Killcliff, they come up with some winners down there for sure.
Henry Hooft.
Henry Hooft would be because he would, Henry
You
Hooft.
talking Barwis?
Yeah, so Henry Hooft is one of these guys who doesn't shy away from like, oh, if you got an aggressive style, he'll lean into it. You know what I mean?
If you got a big,
Stop that.
Okay.
A little Missy Elliott love. I'm here
You
for it.
give him the hip hop horn on his C and D jokes,
No, that's a good point.
and it's not fair to the rest
Now,
of
Luke,
us.
are you intimidated by Chuck's willingness to put this shot through college and not drink it? Does that scream things
listen,
to you?
I didn't see that bottle getting poured anymore, so I was sipping it.
Wow.
You don't need to
Is that
pour
an
anymore.
invitation to go
No,
to round
I
3?
need to be a dad after this.
Wow. All right. Okay. Well, that is
More of a
your
morning drinker anyway, so it's
that is your UFC 315 pay-per-view main card. BSD's going to win this. All right.
He
better-
should
he
win
better
this one,
this,
yeah.
he's
all right?
something like huge favorite.
Minus 900.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
Plus 600 for
Jesus,
the
are
other.
you serious?
Yeah.
I mean, it's like a patchwork opponent, right? Like you're just kind of throwing somebody
And
in
BSD again is still a great athlete and has a
Yeah.
hard-nosed attitude. That's enough to get the job done in all
there.
likelihood.
Yeah.
Very,
if he
very
loses,
good.
my God.
Very good indeed. Before we talk about the featured prelims here up and down, I want to talk to you about DraftKings Pick Six. You know what I'm talking about. This is like fantasy comes to elite mixed martial arts. And when you're looking ahead to UFC 315, you got to be thinking about that DraftKings Pick Six lineup that you would put together. For more info, of course, on how DraftKings Pick Six works, head over to pick6.draftkings.com/pick6-rules-and-scoring-UFC. And you can check that out for more. When I'm putting together a Pick Six lineup based on this 315 card, as I struggle to get some of the words out of my mouth there, I'm definitely looking at Shevchenko, who's got a history of going deep into fights. This is the type of fight that screams distance and decision. The amount of offense and possible sprinkled in of control time on top that Valentina can give me, I feel like that's a smart choice for a Pick Six lineup right here.
I'm not surprised you're going deep on Valentina, but I'm going to go with Jasmine. I think that's. I didn't get the music. I'm going with Jasmine.
You see? You see?
Chuck wanted it on just saying a fighter's name. He just says Jasmine. I'm supposed
Yeah,
to.
but he was looking at you. He was locking eyes with you.
And I'm going to go with. I'll go with Benoit. I think that those are my two.
Yeah.
All right, I'll go Manon Fiorot because I think it's going to go the distance. She's going to accumulate some totals. And I think JDM is going to put hands on, even win or lose.
Yes.
is going to put
I like
hands on
that.
Belal.
I also like Natalia Silva as another pick of somebody who's going to really fill up that stat sheet of volume when you talk about the different categories. We're talking about fight time, control time, fantasy points, takedowns, significant strikes, knockdowns. It's all how it works there on Pick Six, a peer-to-peer daily fantasy sports contest. It's a variant offered by DraftKings. Check it out today. Get your Pick Six lineup down ahead, of course, of UFC 315. And as always, by the way.
Want me to do the rest of this?
Yeah, why don't you, Luke?
Yeah, very good. Here we go, everyone. Pick Six is available in most states, including Missouri, California, Texas, Georgia, and more. Don't settle for a smaller payout. Switch to Pick Six and cash in your UFC knowledge. Play $5, get $50 in bonus picks instantly on your first entry. So here's what you're going to do. Pick Six from DraftKings is the most fun way to play fantasy sports. Download the DraftKings Pick Six app now. Use the code COMBAT, that's COMBAT with a K, for new customers to play $5. And as we mentioned, get $50 in bonus picks. Better payouts, bigger wins, only with Pick Six from DraftKings. The crown is yours. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER. Help is available for problem gambling. Call 8887-897777 or visit ccpg.org in Connecticut. Must be 18 plus. Age and eligibility restrictions vary by jurisdiction. Pick Six not available everywhere, including New York and Ontario. Void where prohibited. One per new customer. Bonus awarded as non-withdrawable Pick Six bonus picks that expire in 14 days. Limited time offer. Terms at picksix.draftkings.com/promos.
Well said, Luke Thomas. As we get into the rest of this card, it might be time to get into the rest of this Cuervo bottle for myself. All right.
All right, enjoy. Father of the year over there.
I didn't spill as much. You guys out? You guys are
I'm
out.
good, yeah.
I'm good.
All right. You had a good run. Okay, you had a good run. We're looking at a Canadian superhero coming back, Mike Malott. But do we have the same confidence we
I'm sorry,
used
what
to?
did you call him?
Called
He
him
said
Mike
Canadian
Malott.
superhero.
Canadian superhero?
He's built like that, Luke. But do we have the same confidence
Yeah, I'm out.
in Mike Malott that we used to as he enters this fight with Charles Radke? Can you break it down for us, Luke Thomas?
Who was against Neil Magny? He
Charles
completely,
Radke.
Yes.
completely
yes.
closed. Charles Radke.
And that was in Canada too, right? I believe that was.
I think you're right.
Yeah.
And he completely fell apart. Radke's not Neil Magny in ways better and worse. Aggressive opponent, could make it difficult for him. Big puncher.
He did beat Trevin Giles, talking about Malott last time out.
Yeah, I mean, he's got, some well-rounded ability, but yeah, I don't know.
All right, there we go. Chuck, when we move on,
I mean,
down
they
this card,
like it, obviously, if they're putting it as the last prelim, right? Like they want
they're
going
to try to give him
they
one more
want the
time at the
springboard.
Shine. That's his
Yeah.
only loss in that
Yeah,
stretch.
you
of
lose
about
this one,
6
and
fights.
it's a wrap for him.
For
Probably.
Long Island, Luke, you believer in Malott, or have we at 33 seen the best of what he will be?
I don't know, but I'm intrigued with this fight because Radke's got 100% takedown defense, and Malott's obviously going to want to take it to the ground to win. So it's intriguing.
Yeah.
It is. It's as intriguing potentially as this next bout in the women's flyweight division. 36-year-old and Canadian favorite there in Quebec, Jasmine Jasdavicius, has been on a very good run. Overall, it's 4 straight wins, but you can extend it out to 6 of her last 7. And we're talking about most recently Mayra Bueno Silva. So she's on a heck of a run. And now they're going to give her Jessica Andrade, who we can count out in terms of like at some point we're going to say she's past it, but she's 33 only somehow. She's got the most wins in UFC female history. And every time we feel like she might be past it, she'll F around and knock Mackenzie Dern out. So
Are you guys offended by the term gatekeeper? Like, I know some people are. Some people don't like to use it.
Depends how it's used.
Yeah. Because to me, that's where she's at. I mean, she's like
She's
a
at that
gatekeeper.
rate.
Everybody who's anybody has to get through Jessica Andrade. If you do, you end up on that side of the ledger. We've seen it with all the women that are at the top 5, right? Like they're all, you know, they all had to get through Jessica Andrade, and I feel like that's where Jasmine is here. To me, that's where Jessica Andrade, and I don't even think it's a bad thing. I think that she just she was a champion at one point. It's not like you're saying she's not capable of that, but at where she's at right now, I feel like that's like she's the quintessential gatekeeper to me.
Well, she had that rough stretch after she lost the title where she was like selling all of her possessions to try to be able to pay for training camp. And she did like a photo shoot that she now regrets. Like she went through some rough times, but yet she had a 2-fight win streak before that loss to Natalia Silva. So
Sorry, I had a little bit of heartburn. She did.
It's still in her at 33.
I agree. I think that's really the sort of central issue here. And Jasdavicius, not for nothing, what, 36?
35.
Up there,
35, yeah. So she's kind of got, now you got to strike while the iron's relatively hot. I mean, I think that Andrade being such a big puncher and typically having decent takedown defense, typically not always, is going to be a real threat. Remember, she had a fucking standing arm triangle on Amanda Lemos. That's insanely difficult to do. So she's still got a little bit of that in her. It's just,
still one of the craziest KOs too, right? With that slam.
Yeah.
The whole, I mean, that thing will be on the B-roll forever. Like when they're showing, something big like that.
Any
'cause
kind
you
of
don't see
takedown
it.
that comes with elevation like that.
Indeed, that pile driver, which
Yeah.
was her nickname, which is wild. For Jasdavicius, she is 36, by the way.
Yeah.
Only UFC defeats are a decision loss to Tracy Cortez in 23 and a decision loss to Natalia Silva the previous year.
Two good fighters.
Mm-hmm.
You got to take this is a good over-under bet. This is a good time to bring in our betting expert, Long Island Luke Nocita. You going over here or you going under here?
I'm going over. That's it.
Okay.
I'm going over.
Going over.
That's the vicious decision. Straight up.
There you go. This would say
Seems
a lot
about right.
about where Jasmine is.
Yeah.
And
But-
what the UFC can do with her. If she can win something like this, they can start moving her into title picture.
Just the same.
She's very
move your head.
enthusiastic.
Move your
I
head.
mean,
Yeah.
It'd be
Again,
fun to
also,
watch her.
Andrade still has a big fucking
Yeah.
punch. You know?
She's got that strong low base too. I mean, she's tough. She's
Dude, you remember she was picking people up over her head at 35?
yeah,
Mm-hmm.
135, not age 30.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, yeah.
One fucking 35.
How is she only 33? How's that even possible?
Bro,
Crazy,
she was like she was strong for bantamweight. To see
Yeah.
what she can do at these other weight classes is insane.
She's like the Jeremy Stevens of women's side. She just
No,
fights
because she won a
anybody.
title.
I know, but I mean, just in general, like she just fights everybody. Been at different
Like
weights.
hard-nosed,
Yeah,
yeah.
Is
hard
she the
nosed.
female Vanderlei in some ways?
Yeah, maybe that's more accurate. I don't
Something
know.
like that.
Like somebody
But
who
she's-
was a champion,
I-
did
I-
reach that
a
level,
ton of
but
credit,
is a
man.
gunslinger.
Because she goes in there every time with just an intensity and an attitude. I mean, to get through her is going to be, it's always tough.
She takes punishment. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a hell of a run she's on. What about punishment in this light heavyweight tilt? I know it's not going to break your interest levels or in terms of the rankings. Do we expect fireworks when Lithuania's own Modestas Bukauskas takes on Iwan Kutelaba, the damn Moldovan Hulk, right?
It's a test of Bukauskas because you know Kutelaba is going to come out just donking it up, but he's strong and powerful and aggressive, and that's a lot. So, I mean, it's interesting, right? We talk about this all the time. Like, overwhelming someone with your offense quickly works in 99% of cases with the human population. But guys who are really good at defense, it doesn't, and then they weaponize it against you. We are going to find out who Bukauskas is in terms of being able to deal with that. Who, by the way, guy got bounced from the organization, kind of had to recoup, had to come back.
He's on a good run.
He's on a good run. So this is an interesting test for him.
To close out that prelim portion, Navajo Sterling at light heavyweight against Ivan Urslan. I don't, will I be there early enough to see that? That's the question.
Yeah, I mean, it's a whatever fight.
In an early prelims, you guys have any comments?
Navajo Sterling, city kickboxing guy.
No, I'm talking about the fights even before that. We
don't
get a
even know
little
who's on.
Brad Katona against Beksad.
Dude, Brad Katona wins the Ultimate Fighter, gets bounced, comes back, kind of up and down, and then they give him the dude who fought Umar, I think it was on short notice, right? The Kazakh guy who's actually pretty decent, but it's like, oh, you got to fight an unranked Kazakh who's actually fucking real good. Welcome back to the UFC, fuckhead. You know what I mean?
And you get to do it with like 18 people in the Bell Center,
Yeah.
Montreal. early.
Tough assignment for Brad Katona.
All right, Marc-Andre Barrio, Bruno Silva there at middleweight,
Yeah,
and
whatever.
Daniel Santos at featherweight against Li Zhang Yang.
Yeah, whatever.
Long Island, Luke, you got anything to sprinkle on the end of that? I'm sure you're going to be main card minuting it
Yeah.
beginning at like 12 noon on Saturday.
I was going to say I'll be live for the full card on Saturday. I want to say Brad Katona, probably the real Canadian superhero. His nickname is Superman. That's a solid fight, dude. That first fight of the night, that should be on the prelims to me. I think that's a better
Yay or
fight.
nay on Nickelback?
Nay.
Oh, wow.
Never made it as a wise man.
That song still bangs though. You gotta say that. Wow.
Oh, man.
That's UFC 315. Before we close it out, though, there was that news in the PFL that I'm
here
sure
we are.
our
These
listeners.
fucking
Here we
guys.
go.
So they're gonna do the PFL Championship Series in is it July
Yeah, July
July.
26th, I believe.
in South Africa? What's the city they chose?
Cape Town.
Cape Town.
Cape Town.
And we're gonna get Johnny Eblin. It just says defending his title. So is it the Bellator title
No,
or is
they
it
named,
the PFL middleweight
yeah.
title?
Okay, no.
Nobody really
I'm so
knows.
fucking glad you asked that. I am so fucking glad you asked that because first of all, let me say this. Let me say the nice things up
All
front.
right.
Nice things up front.
All right.
Two countries in my mind that have been consistently producing good fighters but have never had a big show are Argentina and South Africa. It is good that a bigger
That's right.
show is going to South Africa to, celebrate that market to an extent, right? I actually think that's a great thing. So I do give PFL credit for that. However, holy motherfucking
That's it? You had like
shitballs.
20 seconds of
no,
good things.
Dakota
to say.
Ditchev was on
Okay.
this card,
All right,
and Johnny
all right.
Eblin's on this
All
card.
right.
All right. So you're asking though about all the issues with this card.
Yeah.
Number one, is it going to air in the U.S.? Who the fuck knows, right? The mystery of the century. Will the PFL air in the United States?
Tune in to find
It's like
out.
they finally have Eblin and Dakota, like two great fighters on their
Yes.
roster on their card, and you might not be able to even fucking watch them. That's number one.
Okay, would she be fighting right now if she didn't come out publicly and embarrass them?
Probably not.
And Eblin, too.
Probably.
Like he's
Dude,
been-
they're putting her in fucking Cape Town with no certified deal. Like, holy shitballs. Okay, that's number one. Number two, the way this card works. So it's PFL Africa overall, but only one part of the card is called PFL Africa. The main card is called the PFL Championship Series Road to Dubai. So let's back up a step. The main card in Cape Town, South Africa is PFL Champion Series Road to Dubai. You have to be, whoever came up with that decision at PFL to do it this way is the dumbest fucking, this is like Benoit Saint Denis levels of
Doesn't
stupidity.
it remind you of like these 4 fights will be Bellator NYC, but the three fights before will be
No,
Bellator
they did this in
298.
Saudi Arabia. They did like the PFL, like the KSA card or MENA card, and then the main card was called something else. My understanding is they do this when they have to combine events, but whatever. So that's part 2.
Dude, they bastardized their own titles so badly.
Right. I mean, could you add more confusion to this unnecessarily? Why the fuck are you doing that? It's PFL. Number three, the one you brought up. So they list Johnny Eblen as a world champion, but they don't call him a PFL champion in the press release. I don't know why. Then they call Dakota Ditcheva a 2024 PFL tournament champion, but it's not clear if she's defending any kind of title therein.
She's not.
So it's like the naming convention doesn't work. The title convention is confused. And we don't even have a deal for North American television distribution when it's like you've got 2 of your premier fucking talents who, and Dakota Ditcheva, maybe the most exciting up-and-comer in all of women's MMA.
Big time.
It's like, dude,
So this shows they had no plan.
What the fuck are y'all doing?
This shows they had no plan. They got called out, and they're like, "Oh yeah, you're right. She hasn't fought the first half of this year. We don't have to fight for
why
her."
couldn't Johnny Eblen have fought in Orlando?
I don't
Why
know.
couldn't Dakota Ditcheva have fought in Orlando? What the fuck are they doing?
Why would you not declare who's the actual champion, or make the tournaments that you're building your whole name around? Make those for the title. I would actually tune in if you were
are
going to
any
put
of the-
your best fighters per division in these brackets.
It's like heavyweight tournament, right? Like the first part is like heavyweight tournament and the bantamweight
Yeah,
tournament.
it's heavy and bantams,
And,
and it's like local local.
That's what I was going to ask.
African products.
That's what I was
basically.
going to
Yeah,
ask.
yeah, yeah.
Are they at least using some of the local
Yes,
product? Okay.
Yes. Oh, I looked at the guys' names and they're all like 2-1 or 3-0 or
Okay.
something like that.
But they're still,
guys-
even though they made changes, they're still a slave to their own ways of organizing this.
Okay, put
they're
the
still
camera on
adding more things fucking
I like
horizontally
when we
right
do
now.
this.
Okay, hold on. Put the camera on me.
Here it is.
PFL. Nobody cares about the Champions League bullshit theme. Nobody cares. Oh, we're going to have PFL MENA, PFL Africa, PFL Europe. No, hey, look at me. Look at me. Look at me. Nobody cares. Okay? What we want is quality and to be able to watch it without having to pirate on the dark web. Okay? That's what we want. I don't want to have to get next to
We get enough of our thrills on the dark web,
Yeah.
Don. Believe us, all right?
Like, I can't believe that dude, I've never seen a company. It's like, we got all this great stuff. Why don't we arrange it in the most confusing, worst way possible? That's the PFL.
That is the
There we go.
PFL right there. Wow. Chuck,
Have fun in Cape Town.
Yeah.
yeah, you going?
I would like to
I'll
go.
be there.
I would actually like to go see Cape Town. I would like.
It would
I
be
like
cool to go to Cape Town. And that's the other thing. Like you take anything, right? Like the UFC has said they're going to go to South Africa. They have not done it. You
Yeah.
should,
It's
there
smart,
should be
it's smart.
something to
Yeah,
that,
yeah, yeah.
like that you're going there first,
Chuck, who was your celebrity crush at 17? You
At
know?
17?
Jennifer Love Hewitt? Yeah, probably. No, wait, you
She
were
was
like
probably-
17 in the early
She was-
80s, right? He
gonna
was,
say,
you know,
she's
yeah.
probably pretty young at that point.
What year did you graduate high school?
That was in the 90s.
Yeah, that's true for all of us.
Maybe like Belinda Carlisle. I liked her. a lot.
Belinda
Yeah, she's
Carlisle?
hot.
Oh,
And
my God. Brother, this is an easy one.
all right, let's hear it. Oh, well, what was the one Spencer's Gift? She'd go to the back and they had those posters of, like it was Samantha Fox.
Oh,
like,
yeah. Oh,
no,
yeah.
First of all, Cindy Crawford was the first one.
Cindy.
These
yeah.
are very 80-centric answers, but I
Hold on.
respect
Cindy
them.
Crawford
Yeah.
was the first one, but BC, you can help me with the second one.
I don't get down with her or her dimple. I was more Kathy Ireland, yo.
Kathy Ireland's also a top
And
tier.
she reigned in Spain in 92, and some people know what I'm talking about.
The MTV VJ Daisy, what was her last name?
Fuentes, yeah.
Oh,
That's-
Daisy Fuentes was a top tier choice for 14-year-old.
I was more of a Cindy Taylor from Ease Wild on. But, you know, those are...
It's because you're a little bit racist. It's okay. It's all right. I forgive you.
Now more of a Shevchenko guy.
She's from South... Look, she's from South America, but that's cool. You know?
I know.
Yeah.
I like how this is now the real talk. We're
Okay,
leaning
we
back,
can end
like,
this now. We can end
It's
this
like
now.
leaning back.
See, he got uncomfortable. You know?
I don't like it when
We
you
got-
do this.
we
When
we
you
got
do this,
inside on
he
him,
does
when
know?
you like start pulling that thing.
Brian tends to think that longer broadcasts are by definition better, and they're absolutely not. Like,
Chuck, could you
Yeah.
tell the people where they can find you, your work?
Right here.
Are you hanging
Morning
out
Kombat.
with Glover?
Yeah, the
and-
local methadone clinic.
Yeah, are you?
That's
Wait,
the other place.
like once a month? Do you see Glover
No.
Pereira or what?
Actually,
Like randomly?
Glover I do see a lot, but I haven't recently. I guess he's been out a lot more. But generally speaking, if you're going to see a guy in town, it's going to be him. You won't see Alex Pereira as much, but sometimes. But yeah, he's around.
You ever see Merle, Poeton's ex?
No, if
Okay,
I do, I don't
we
know.
can
All
wrap
right.
this up.
All
Yeah.
right,
You can find my work at Uncrowned.
Yeah, there you
Goodbye,
go.
guys.
Long Island Luke, we can find you this weekend at the main card minute, probably.
Yeah, I'll
Probably.
do full card watch along for the pay-per-view. Join me. Thank
That's
you.
great. That's great. Luke Thomas, you have anything to pump?
I'll
for
do the
people?
main co-main together and then post-fight show.
Love it.
Post-fight show.
Big news on Substack this week. Anything cool?
Next week's gonna be a big week.
Ooh,
All
ooh, an
right.
expose, if you will.
No, I'm sitting down with a policy expert. You'll see how it goes.
Oh,
Ooh, shit.
all right.
Oh, wow. All
This
right.
is the
On
good
Tuesday,
direction.
Tuesday, yep.
Well, thank you for tuning in. This episode of Morning Kombat was, of course, brought to you by DraftKings, where you already know with DraftKings that the crown is yours. Thank you so much to Cuervo for being a big part of what we do here on Pregame Preview, when we give it to you real as possible. Real, if you know what I'm talking about. Follow us on those socials below, our YouTube channels adjacent, and all the stuff we do right there. What a time to be alive. Just get to, like they pay us to sit here and drink
It's nice.
fantastic Blanco.
This is my favorite
tequila
call. Every time I get
and,
this call.
test the fragility of our own careers with really bad time jokes.
Yeah.
I'm ready to go.
All right. Luke's got a Joseph A. Banks with his name on it. For Long Island Luke, for Ken. Shout out to Ken, right? Shout out to Ken. Ken's great. Yeah. And those other guys. That's Chuck Mindenhall, Luke Thomas, your boy BC. I feel like he's looking at me very angrily. So we are out of here.